Acheni bana. Achiliwe bana. Viene pasito hapo. Wana wasifika wanashindana wanampigia makofi. Fuck you wewe.
These people are aiming us. Hawa watu wanatutafuta, si ati wanarusha ovyo ovyo. Unaona? Hawa watu wako na ujinga bwana, wanatufuatafuata aje? Hizi ndio itaniua sasa.
Kwa mapua inasafisha. Simia iniwahi sasa hivi. Paka tu kwa mapua. Sana. Rangi shiketi.
Asante.
Nini maana nikiwafuata bwana wanaweza nima. Wanaenda wafuata wanima.
Lakini we are always sports motor is being prepared for anything that comes. So we are prepared to run whenever we need to run. We are prepared to speak whenever we need to speak. We are prepared to fight for our country. So wenye hujafika tao mazika mtao wasee wako umekimbia sasa, lakini wasee wako tunaenda kwenye wako, tutapatana mahali pamoja, and we must celebrate our heroes. Lazima tutasherehekea mashujaa wetu. Candles lazima zitawashwa, lazima kutoka room of silence. Hata kama wameshika ile komondi, sisi wengine tukatao already. Hatuendi nyumbani until our mashujaa day celebration is complete. So Hai tunaangalia tu kwa rada juu wanazunguka huku. In fact, hao civilian police ndio wana shoot tear gas na nini. So wanaenda kwenye watu hapo. Yeah, mkuje town manze. Kenya ni home. Kenya is my business, Kenya is your business. Kenya ni home.
Nilikushika utatrend. Mtu bana amenirusha tiaga.
Unajua amenirusha, amekuja akanirusha ile na mimi nikamrusha. Ananirusha tu.
Akona ujinga huyo mtu.
Hapo nikamuita umbo.
Kumbe tena nilikuwa nadhani ni raia, kumbe ni askari.
Ni askari. Nimemuita umbo, unanirusha kwa nini?
Akona ujinga mingi sana huyo msee. Kaluma hapa ananiambia nipake kwa mapua. Itanisaidia. Huyo anataka kuniua. Huyo ametumwa huyo.
Oh. Si hadi wengine wampiga honi au makarao akakuja hapa.
Wanashika watu bure hao.
So guys, meleta polisi wengine wengi. Do you know where we keep my number, people? Where we keep my number? My number is so much money. So, kuna polisi wanaongeza pale. Baby, give me my number.
Twende katikati.
Come inside.
Kiasi tu.
Na ulifika huku saa ngapi? Ulifika huku saa ngapi? 8. Saa mbili? Ulikuwa wapi?
Saa mbili sikuwa nimefika bado.
Ulifika Uhurupark?
Nilifika.
Watu walikuwa huko asubuhi? Alafu tukaenda aje?
Si tukafukuzwa.
Mpaka media ikafukuzwa?
Walikuwa wanafukuza hadi media.
Hata sana.
Watu hapa uzima.
hiyo wanaweza kuwa wapi tena?
Huku ndo watu wapo chini sana.
Ama teremke hivyo?
Mimi naenda.
Unaenda?
Naenda mtaa.
Unaenda mtaa? Ah, nini? Asubuhi mapema.
Bana, zenda kuarestiwa sana.
Hauwezi shikwa. Mbona wakushika?
Nini?
Mbona wakushika?
Bana, sikuna ni watusi hapo.
Si ni ule mmoja tu ulitusi na ni hivyo.
Hata ni nini tunafanya huko? Haiwezi kuwa sawa. Si excuse kwa kila.
Hiyo ndio excuse sana huko. Hiyo ni excuse yake, si mambo na huo ama. Wameingiza baridi huyo.
Bwana magarau watanitoka nyuma.
Hawezi
kutoka nyuma. Hawaita umbo.
Hawezi kukushika maji.
Wanaangalianga ule mtu muoga.
Na hivyo ndo mtakuja kwa marafiki. Kio muoga waone wenyewe ni muoga.
Sisi kama wenyewe kuja waanza kupiga nduru unaanza kukimbia.
To remove names from this conversation. These evils are being meted out on our people by people. So who are these people? And who then do we want as a solution, as an alternative? And I ask, what is the character of those people that we want as the alternative? What is the character of the politician that we want? What is the character of the citizen that must be engaged? And what is the character of our public servants? Because for way too long, public or civil servants as we know them have got away with so much as we blame the politicians. Yet behind that politician, behind William Ruto, is a bunch of public servants who masquerade as technocrats, who advise, who guide, and who develop or design or craft the documents and the instruments that are being used to violate the rights of the people and undermine the rule of law and the system of justice. We need to define the character of the who that comes in as the alternative. Number 3, when do action? And my answer to that is now. We must take action. But the big question, which is my last point, is how do we take action? How do we ensure that the who that we want is the politician that occupies the position of MCA, the position of woman representative, the position of governor, and all those positions? And we must be able to then answer the question of how do we ensure that what we want is actually what happens. And Daktari has just spoken about being challenged by his peers and some of the people that he interacts with. And we are being challenged. Tony here spoke about us beginning to speak to the issues and offering solutions and giving hope, because before long, Rigathi and a few other people will rebrand themselves and they will start selling hope to our people. So we must be able to do that ourselves now. And so, as we do this, we must be alive that even what we are doing, we are talking about, we are selling hope by telling our people that they have to demand for better. The question we are not getting right is the strategy that we deploy to make sure that when the politicians come up and start to voice the same solutions like we are doing, they are not being heard and they are not louder than we are. And that the people will not listen to them more than they are listening to us. In conclusion, somebody spoke about dealing with the people in the village and the people in the slums, because these are the people who are being given peanuts and they are using those peanuts to cause mayhem. Those are the questions, those are the issues I would want to see us speak to and wake up. So that when we wake up, we will be able to demand more from everybody, not just our politicians. We already know that our politicians are the problem, but we must also speak to the question of who else needs to do what and how effectively so that we reclaim our country. And it is critical right now. Good people, I want to tell you that today I am at pain because we don't have a country. Comrades, we don't have a country. When William Ruto speaks in the manner that he speaks, when William Ruto is allowed to get away with everything that he's getting away with because he is abusing power, then our country is getting lost at a pace that we cannot, at a supersonic speed. And we must be able to caucus. In conclusion, good people, this is not a time to vilify Casmuel. This is not a time for us to complain about Morara. This is not a time to even lament at how much is being stolen and how broken our system of governance is. Fellow Kenyans, this is a time to mobilize. This is a time to have one space. This is a time to have one public rally on this platform. And all of us must speak against the enemy. That enemy is the political thuggery that we are witnessing today. That enemy is bad governance that is being served on us in proportions of pandemic level. That enemy is not the question of how we get 350 members of parliament at the national level and 1,450 or 1,500 of them at the county level. That question has an answer because the people are available. Even this space has those people. The enemy that we must deal with is how to mobilize our people to come out and say enough is enough. To say that our money is not going to be expended in false schemes in the name of project, in the name of governance. That these people, we have had enough, and as if that is not enough, we are now sending you home. And as if that is not enough, we are now reclaiming everything that you have stolen from us in terms of time, in terms of money, in terms of resources, and the deception that you have made our mothers and our grandmothers and our grandfathers and the church and our children to believe in you and to trust that what you said is what you meant. Yet it was all a long con. Good people, that is what I would like us to talk about. That is what I would want to see. So for me, this morning is a call to action. We need to start moving, good people. We need to caucus. We need to call out and say that we must do better. Good people, I can go on and on and on and on. Please, let us speak to these issues. Let us not deceive ourselves that we can speak any other language, that we can detach this conversation from who is responsible for our present state. I want to land at that point and open it up, but the questions that may be posed in the grand scheme of things, I am here to respond to some of them as much as I can. But let us have this conversation, good people. Let us call ourselves to serious action against the enemies that I listed and those that I may not have listed in my address. Thank you, Hillary. Thank you, everyone, Anthony, Abdi, and Bonnie, and all of you for listening to me as I made this long, winding address that I don't even know how to end even at this point. Thank you. May God bless you. May God be good to us and our motherland, because it is being lost and taken away from us and our children. And we must fight. Let God give us the spirit of Mekantilili Wamenza and Dedan Kimathi and our forefathers, that we may have the courage and master it enough to face these oppressors who continue to violate us, yet they wear the same skin as we do. Thank you, good people.
Thank you, Dr. Milton. Sorry, I forgot to mention, I always love, when I'm having a conversation with people, I always love to put my cards on the table. Now, one of the things I feel I should bring out is when we did the Adani case with Attorney Gashoka, Degwanjiro, we brought in the Azimio, Kalonzo, Kioni, and Kalonzo, Kioni, and Eugene Wamalwa as they were enjoined on the case. So on that note, I was able to meet the three of them. I was able to meet Kalonzo, Eugene, and Keoni. And in that discussion, a question was put to me, which I'll also put out there for people to think about. They told me, Tony, if people in this movement want political power, why can't they join political parties and use our parties to vie for power? And this was my response to them. I will not speak for them because I don't have the mandate to, but I will pose the question to them. And the question was put, if you come with an MOU as the young people, let's say to Wiper, and Wiper says, yeah, we shall not field candidates in Central Province, Rift Valley, and Coastal Province. Young people, your people in the movement can do that. What positions would you want in government? That is a question I've never answered today, but I just wanted to put it out there because I know people do know that at one point I did meet the Azimio team. I just feel in a transparent manner, people should know that about me. I don't want it to come out later.
All right, thank you so much, Anthony, and thank you so much, everybody. Pigmin, you've been here for a while, and Wangu, in that order, then I think Bonnie will come in, then we'll go to many people who are coming in. I see Kuza Kunjiko, Daniel Kijo. Pigmin, comrade, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Hope you can hear me.
Very well.
Very well.
Yeah, greetings to all of you. I won't be that long. Permit me to be very brief. I'll say that, yes, political problems require political solutions. But I cannot fall in the trap of the Wiper and the rest who want to make deal with us. They are one and the same team. They are part of the problem of this country for so long, and they cannot invite us to mourn with them. They are part of what we are mourning today. I'll equally say that, yes, when I went to the ballot as a young person at that time in 2022, many young people are not awake enough to take the step even to challenge the presidential thing that to me was appearing to many of my friends impossible. But I was going out because I knew the problem in this country. And therefore today as we speak, I'll say again, we can have good ideas, but if we are not ready to be the representative to implement our ideas, none of them can do it. None of them. Never trust any of these political classes that have been there for so long. No matter what they pretend to be, they will never change our solution. So we who are speaking today, we who are concerned today, must be ready to be the leaders to champion what you want on the ballot and on the next positions. The problem starts from the top. That's why many people ask me, why did you not go for an MC and a young person? No, the problem is the president. Because he's the one who is capable of buying the parliament today so that he can work in his favor. In fact, the problem is not even the deputy president. The problem is not even the CSS. The problem is the president. And the sooner we know that, the better we can target our struggle. But then Ruto's presidency provides to us an extraordinary circumstance to us who are activists and political agitators. And therefore, we require extraordinary measures to deal with him. One thing is that we must take the longest time possible in the war room and fight and strategize. Sun Tzu says, the war is won in the battle room. We are in the battle room. We must prepare ourselves very well. Let everybody do what they are doing in the past they are doing. But in the process of our people trying to do what they do, we can be able to start picking the teams that are necessary, trusted teams that are necessary for us to face these men and women. Because if we don't take time to strategize and mobilize, they will defeat us with one swing. So, comrades, I'll urge you and advise and even encourage you that let's get out, do our best, start organizing, strategizing. Because if we take enough time to organize, strategize, and mobilize, we will defeat these guys. But if we want to rush and face them, they will defeat us as soon as possible. All of them are cousins, brothers, and sisters, all the political class, whatever they are today. And none of them have the solution for this future. None. They might just be playing witness in this particular moment. But we, the people, have felt it enough. Let's walk out and unite and do the best we can for this country. If we don't do it, I'm telling you, 2027, they'll come and speak to us again. Yes, civic education is good. I've started one. I'm going out to tell the people the power of this constitution. Let me tell you, with this constitution, you don't need a manifesto. The Bill of Rights of Chapter 4 is enough. You don't need to promise anybody anything. The Constitution has promised to us, the people, what you need to have in terms of healthcare, education, services, job, and everything else. Therefore, all these political fallacies and political lies that many manifestos have been coming about and promises do not work for us. We only need a leader who can get in, who has integrity and can be trusted, get in and implement the Constitution. That is it. Nothing else. The Constitution has a manifesto we want as a people. The Constitution only needs to be implemented. So let's do all the tactics we take. Let us not leave anything or any stone unturned. Let's do our best in all means possible. We must find a way to bring down this government. The ballot is one way, but we must also be ready to safeguard that ballot because you know very well how they manipulate their election results. So we go to the ballot, but prepare to defend and take any alternative necessary until we bring down this regime. That is my input. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, comrade. I know many people doesn't know Pingbin. Pingbin tried to vie for the president last election, and it was denied by the court or some issues and everything. So many people, just as Juma also is here, tried to vie for the presidency. So they're talking a lot of experience and what they saw and what they are thinking of, and also, Pingbin, I will ask you a question later on. Let these people have their hands up. Say something. Then, when you come in again, you tell what is your option now going forward. What do you think, and how do you want to how do you want young people to join this this thing? What are the mechanisms you are putting across to make sure that 2027 you are there and you're gonna be into the ballot? I don't know whether you can answer that. Then we'll bring Wangu in.
Yeah, I would say that I experienced a lot of challenges last time. Being independent candidate was very technical and very heavy. Of course, I started a political party called Accountability and Transparency Party in 2019. I was not able to fulfill it. I'm on the process to complete it fully so that we can use it to champion for accountability and transparency. I realized, if you remember, we were 57 presidential aspirants and 47 were independent candidates. Only those with the parties managed to be on the ballot. So it's very important that you must know that political parties are a very important tool for us to have a house and a room to organize and mobilize so that you can be on the ballot. So that's what I'm doing. But along this, we will need all goodwill and all friends and all revolutionary comrades to be on the one basket so that we can fight together. If it's going to be a coalition or alliance, we must put that. But meanwhile, I'm going on. The mind that is the weapon that is going to liberate us. As much as I can be a candidate, have good manifestos, if the mind of our people are not liberated, they're still going to vote wrong choice again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, can we have ladies now on the top?
Only let me just bring in Justice for a minute, and then we can have.
Give ladies first. Give ladies first now. Give ladies first, bro. Ladies also, let us hear their voice, then Justice will come in.
Thank you so much, Abdi. I don't know whether you can hear me.
Go ahead. I can hear loud and clear.
Good evening, everyone, and I'm pleased to join you as we celebrate our heroes, also those who have laid their life in the agitation and the quest to make sure that we have good governance. And specifically to Genz of our current times. We've gone through a lot. Some of us are healing from bullet wounds that we acquired in the streets, standing up against, as Dr. Milton asked, what were our problems when we were standing against our problems. And I agree with you, we must define our problems correctly. But before I get to that, Yes, I'm Justice Juma. I'm a party leader of Justice and Freedom Party. I've participated actively in the political process, and I agree with you that active political engagement will actually mandate the solutions that, it's mandatory that we participate actively in the political process for us to achieve the things that we are aspiring to achieve. And yeah, I know we've been leaderless. There's that notion of rudderless. There's not that notion of tribeless, which is very good. And if we are to engage actively in the political discourse, then we must be involved. Because recently, through my party, we were pushing for like-minded, and by that I mean Genz, to be part of the selection panel in the IABC formation. If we are missing out on such integral political process, then definitely our noise will just be in the street. But if we find mechanisms to engage and be part of the solution, because as much as we do activism, advocacy is also very necessary for us to be more effective. And yes, I do agree with you. We have a number of political parties and political ideologies. And again, I know that is one area that they're using perfectly well to keep us divided. The reasons why my priority has never been our party, but how we can come together as Kenyan citizens who are affected by these problems. And our problems didn't begin today. Our problems are way back. We can track them back to the colonial era. And these problems have been, fueled by compradors who keep on trying their best to make sure that this geographical location remain a client state for the colonialists to keep on raking our minerals at no cost at all, enjoying our resources at no cost at all, and then returning them here at very exorbitant, expensive prices for our own consumptions. Reasons to why our industries are going down is just because of the compradors or bad leadership. Reasons to why we can't have free education. Right now we are on the street pushing for proper education funding, which should not even be there at all. We should have free education up to first degree. We should have free healthcare. Other states are doing that, and it's very easy. We have resources here. We have rivers that are flowing to Lake Victoria, to Nile, where Egypt is growing corn and then selling it back to us. KFC the other day is getting viazi waru from Egypt. Why? Yet we have our central Mount Kenya that should not be touched with all its enormous potential, and they cannot supply ngwashe to competitive markets. It is a leadership. Our problems are enormous, which I cannot dwell on. But somebody asked very integral questions that we need to ask. He said, what were our problems? And what is our problem today? And what is the solution? And what type of a leader do we want? And what type of character do we want in these leaders, including the civil servants? And how do we take actions? Which to me, I think are very essential answers that we need for us to remain united. Because to me, the problem we are facing is the same agents, clothed like the IMF and World Bank, using these compradors to force on us laws, which are forcing us with structural adjustment policies with adverse effect on our social lifestyle. Things like education, issues to do with food. If you look at the things that are being taxed so that we may please IMF, so that we may please World Bank, they are absurd. They are things that should not even be touched. Whereas the intention is not even just to set us free, these guys want to keep us slaves, because a borrower is a slave to the lender. And that has been the colonial intention. Yet we have brothers who, because of tumbocracy and tokenism, will do anything. And we've seen the way they can butcher and manipulate our institutions. They've captured the parliament. And I'm not even sure whether judiciary is independent, we're saying. The only independent sovereign authority that is left in Kenya is the citizen power, the sovereign authority of the citizen. And if we are able to harness that and unite it towards this cause, then our solutions will be very clear. As one asks that, what is the solution? And then what type of a leader do we want? It is not new. If you look at the good book in Exodus 18:21, Moses also was at this point, and he was told the type of leaders to choose. He was told to choose leaders who are capable and able, those who merit the offices that they're seeking for. And number two was leaders who fear their creator. If you look at the preamble of our constitution, we acknowledge our creator. And of course, if we are looking at the constitution mostly is is emanating from the common law procedures. Common law is mostly just scripture applied. So if we are looking at the person who fear our creator, it must be somebody who respects rights of others, because constitution gives us inalienable rights: right to life, right to purpose, right to freedom. But this guy can take lives. You see now we've suffered as Genz. The guy kills in the daylight. And now he's even rewarding those murderers, those abductors, the killer who dumped our own people in swamps. Now he's elevating them. Those are the heroes he's celebrating to be his deputy. Surely, what right does he have? He has no fear whatsoever of his creator. And the third character was, he must be somebody who speaks truth. And the fourth one must be somebody who hates corruption. And these are things that are adverse to these characters. They lie while only flying. And they never, when you talk about corruption, that's the order of the day. So these are the type of characters. This is the type of leaders who are amongst us here, as you're saying. And that is why I would be careful, even when people are mentioning certain outfits, you cannot put a new wine in an old wine skin. There are people whose behavior and characters we've known. There's nothing new we will expect from these individuals. How can we achieve these things? Yes, power belongs to the people. And if we are able to harness this power and engage actively in the political process, but not just the political process, it must be circumspect. Because some of these characters and values that we are aspiring, some of them are endured. Not all religious organizations have been defiled. We know there are some upright men who can be called upon, and they will be able to demonstrate and stand with us, even spiritually, without defilement. Though we know a corrupt religious organization, we can avoid that. And working along in that partnership, whether it's from the Muslim side, all the religious organizations partnering together with us in sanity, yes, we can be one indefeatable and indivisible voice that can help us achieve this. And how do we act? Yes, it's possible. We can get them out of the office before the 2027 election. I'm sure we can even get them out of the office before 2025. Not actually us getting them out. They can get themselves out. Ever since we began, this guy has swallowed every bait that we gave him. When we gave him a bait against his cabinet, he fired them. Now, when we baited him against his deputy, he has fired him. And they are helping us to bleed him dry. Very soon, he will be scorched dry. I'm so certain that if we continue at this path that is continuing in, who knows, he cannot even survive 2025. But what are the solutions, as Milton Nyakundi asked earlier? We must be ready and organized to have a suitable and viable solution. And I agree with you. This mandate us to come out of our comfort zones, our political cocoons, whether political parties, our civil activist environments, even the artist. I've seen moments when you come out to the field and you're in solidarity even with the artist, and they'll tell you, today politicians are not allowed to speak. And I'm like, wait a minute, guys. We are here all together. Let's all act as one. And then I've seen guys who want to own the revolution process. I've seen them also creating for us leaders. So I think we should not take those for granted and say that we should not focus on the diversion. We should also be aware of the diversionary tactics that they will employ in our midst. They will sponsor some here. even the followings that you are having, they will buy among ourselves. And it's us to remain steady first and focused, because me, I've never been bothered about those who are being bought or those, the fake ones they're introducing, because the values and the discipline of a revolution will always attract a similar character or personality who is really longing for change. And we will get this done, whether the two of us, whether one of us, but I'm so certain we'll get this done. As it stands, I am full of hope. It's not a hopeless state. I'm full of hope that our enemy's house is so divided. And all this has brought us to this level where we can deliberate together. It is high time that we unite, bring our forces together, and make this happen. It's very possible. So thank you, Hillary, for the space, and thank you, everyone, for according me the opportunity to listen. But in solidarity, Kenya is our home. We need to close it for innovation. We need to put a moratorium on all the trade that this guy is engaging on our behalf, all these transactions that he's signing, whether they are Danis, whether they are the ones with IMF or the World Bank. All this must be stopped. He has to cease. Even as we continue our activism, but we need to adopt various advocacy mechanisms also to make this thing stop.
Yeah. Thank you, Justice. Thank you, Justice. I think Anthony had something. I'll give the mic to Anthony, and then I give the ladies the mic. Thank you, Anthony. Did you want to chime in?
No, thank you. Yes, this is something for Justice to actually think about. He ran for president. I would want to know how different would you have governed Kenya? What would have been your policy for education, for infrastructure, for health, for agriculture and all that? That's something I would want to know from you. But let's bring in some ladies like you, Nani had suggested, Hillary had suggested. Daniel, I see your hand is up, but let's bring in
Wangu, Luande.
Wango, yes.
Then Josephine, then Wanjiru, in that order.
Thank you, guys. And yeah, I like this debate and us coming together to deliberate on our country and what's best for Kenya. Navigating political uncertainty. Yes, we are at this point, we are at crossroads. And I agree with some of the speakers here, but we cannot just sort of look at what's happening in Kenya as just a local thing or a national thing. And also not just look at it in an international point of view. And by this, I'm talking about the influence of the imperialist. We cannot ignore it at all. Because we've seen, for example, when Ruto sometimes is making a public address, we are sure, as Kenyans, we know he's not talking to us. Some of the things he is saying, he is really not talking to us. And that tells us that our priorities are not, or rather our needs or what we need as a country is not going to be prioritized by this man. And we've seen that. And also that's very clear with the bills that are outstanding to be debated in Parliament, for example, all those punitive bills. We know that they are coming, and we know that they are not there to serve us as Kenyans. They are not. They are there to serve whoever that he is listening to. And so we ask ourselves, what do we do and where do we go from here? Yes, I do agree that, you know, sometimes we as a people, we can be so discouraging. Tunaona watu wenye, especially the young people, wakati wanasimama, wanajaribu kuvoice what's happening, then tunawachapa, tunakosoa the wrong way the minute they make a tiny little mistake. Na zingine ni that some of them are things that even if we were going through the same thing, probably we would be making the same mistakes. Now we are very quick to cancel them. And some of them, don't get me wrong, they deserve it. But at the same time, we go slow a little bit. We are going through a process, which is something that we haven't gone through before, where we are really active. We've become very active citizens, which is a good thing. But at the same time, we are learning as we go, and mistakes are going to be made. And I'm a bit slow to sort of jump on someone sort of to criticize just because they have made their first mistake. So I just hope we can be a little bit more forgiving, or a little bit slow at just watching and sort of learning as we go. And that's for mainly the young leaders that are upcoming. But also the fact that and this is also a way of looking at the way forward. I think we've started well. Some of us who are not Gen Zs have been trying to speak before even this year. We've been trying to, especially those of us in diaspora, we've been trying to come together and sort of to look at what we can do. And yes, our voice was quite tiny at that time, but now we have everyone in Kenya who is following on what's happening and really, really hungry for change. And it's time to bring all this together so that, you know, we can move our country forward. And I think one way that we are really looking at is the fact that our generation, or rather those of us who are sort of 40s below, 50s below, we are really sort of, we don't look at tribal as they used to be. We are coming together regardless of which tribe we are from, and sort of supporting an issue. Still, I would urge, we still remain issue-based. And first of all, to realize that the systems that we have, mainly the systems we have in Kenya, are really sort of broken. And my view, my opinion, is that right now, I know we're here in this forum, we are discussing who would have been better, who would be, you know, we can put Okia Omtata tomorrow as we do sort of respect this man, and the system will still beat Okia. And he would still not do what we would want him to do, because the systems are so broken. And my view is that it's the system that we need to change, so that when we put people in these positions, they are not swallowed by the system. And sort of we look at them. How many of us have seen someone, an upcoming MP or even MCA, someone that we know, that we believed in, but the minute they become a leader, they change and becomes a stranger? Oh, sorry.
Okay, Wanga, I will give you 1 minute to land. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry, I was saying, and they become a stranger, and then we don't know who they are anymore. So my one way forward, and I think I need us to look at, is where we've seen things moving forward, like West Africa. Yes, we have examples in Africa that we can follow, and we need to look at. For me, I would think even we should be considering something like that, because that's one way that we know that not many people are going to be killed when they are out in the streets protesting. Because I feel bad as a diasporian asking people to go to the streets while I'm not there, risking my own life and ensuring that we are safe, but at the same time doing something that's going to change our country. Thank you.
Thank you, Wango. One of the requests and we talked this with Hillary, is that the West, Europe, America, you guys have seen what working systems look like. So you basically have the structure. I just wish you guys would come up with a template, because one of the things I realized with the young movement, the Gen Zs and the millennials, I being a millennial, is that we have a concept of the Kenya we want, but we lack the template. And that's why I feel we can have a bridge between diaspora and Kenyans here, and also Kenyans here who are old enough who can give us a template. But one of the reason I pivot to diaspora is because the template you give us will not be influenced by the template in Kenya. If you get a template from Kenya, then it is already influenced. Their thinking is influenced by by our current situation. Abdi, you can bring someone else. I think Hillary, you had given the order.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, it was you next. It is you next. Go.
Yes. Thank you for the platform. Thank you for holding the space. And I just want to talk in 4 minutes, but straight to the point. First, I want to talk about tribalism. It's unfortunate that some of us, when you're on big wig platforms, these people that maybe you can spread the information here on X are really working with the government. I can say with the government because that is what Ruto wants. And specifically, if you're keen enough, after Gachagwa's speech, you could see Itumbi literally tweeting that Gachagua is against Luos. And that why did he just say that he was about to be poisoned in Kisumu? So literally that typically can tell you that this is what the government has been using for the longest time, and it's unfortunate that we are falling into that trap. So I want to speak to Luos who are here. Right now, if you are seeing these political issues the way they are going, Raila did not resign from ODM officially. So he hopes to get back to Kenyan politics if he fails in AU, which he knows very well he's going to fail. And you there being used as a person, as a Luo, I'm a Luo personally, I'm a Luo, but until when will we be used by these politicians? Because that is what Ruto has used, and that is what he's doing, and he'll continue using you for no good reason, and you know very well your purpose in your life. I'm done with that. Secondly, I'll go to mobilization. Personally, today I was at Uhurupark. Lakini watu hawakutokelezea huko Uhurupark. So me, I'm wondering, why be here in these spaces? Personally, people are tired. Itafika pale hata Hillary, you'll be tired of holding spaces in this country. Because we agree on this is what is to happen. The next thing you see, nobody shows up for those things. We were there, na tulikuwa wachache sana. If we had the crowd, I believe hata hii government could have been shaken. But nyinyi mnapanga Uhurupark, then you don't show up. Secondly, we had people who are good mobilizers like Osama. Because of one mistake or two mistakes, you people pushed that person away. And you know, in politics, hakunanga makasiriko. Politics usikuja na emotions. Use someone to get what you want. And for sure, people like Osama Otaro were good mobilizers. If those people, you push them away to date, in a way that if you're trying to organize something, we cannot push our agenda to where we want, then I'm telling you, this division, this process will die and die for good. That is all I can say about it. So all of us, be sure of ourselves. And I even listened to PP talking yesterday, and he said he's tired. You are coming here with the same issues, same problems each and every day. You want to complain on the space, but kama mnatakikana kwa ground, you don't show up. We have to have a political party. We had a situation where Morara gave us a political party, yenye inaitwa Inject Party, which nobody of you thought of creating. When he made that, because of 1, 2, 3, 4 mistakes he did, now everybody does not want to see Morara, everybody does not want to work with him, and you're forgetting, maybe I've been in audio. In fact, I've wanted to vie as a young woman. Right now I'm 32 years old. I'm very young, Bado. But I can tell you for a fact that when I wanted to vie, I could not vie with ODM party because 1, I did not have money. 2, I could not agree to their terms. So what is done? You are pulled out so that people who can agree with their terms and people who can pay can buy. We have a situation whereby we have this political platform because, everything has to happen within the law. We have the constitution. Hii party, inject party hata sijaona wenye register wakasema as we want this leadership. We want to be voted in for this position. You are just there yapping, talking on the spaces with no action. Lastly, I want to talk about honesty. Kenyans, let us be honest with ourselves. Let us just for once be honest about ourselves because nobody is there to die for you. It is you to go out there and die for yourself. If I'm a woman, I could go to Uhurupark and inhale tear gas. We have men who are seated here, wanangojea usiku spaces kusprout their views. Lakini ikifika kwa ground, hamko. Honesty kwanza, Kenyans. Let us be honest with ourselves, with what we want. Let us stay focused. Hii maneno ya watu kukuja tu hapa kutuambia sijui nini ati hii government haifanyi poa, but honestly ikifika kwa pale mnatakikana watu wanawahitaji, you are not there. Personally, me, I'm not happy with some of you because you are not honest with yourselves. We cannot fight this war on the spaces and on the internet without showing up on the ground. Personally, hata nasema vizuri sana. I've always wanted a seat, and to be precise, a woman representative seat. But you see, if you're not giving me that platform to even state my manifestos as a person, then mimi nashanga juu kesho nikichukua leadership ati nani alimchagua kama a leadership of Genz. And that is where you go wrong because hiyo disunity ndo inafanya tunarudi nyuma and the political class ina thrive. Kwanza sasa hii wameshikana more than ever, and that is why they were able even to push Gachagua out. Wameshikana. They don't want anybody mwenye anaweza expose their oppressive measures ajulikane. So let us just be honest with ourselves for once. And men, you've really disappointed me. You've disappointed me to the brim. Thank you.
Na Rwanda, I think wale wanaume wa kudisappoint ni wale unajua, lakini si wale unakuja hapa kwa sababu daktari himself, Dr. Nyango today was on the field and many of us were on Uhurupark big tear gas. So ukisema men labda ngoja wait, when you were talking I was so quiet actually. I didn't even cut you. You are the one who said that you're done. So when you're done is when I started commenting what you're saying. So I'm saying that the men that you're talking about, the men you know, but I think the men that you don't know, some were tear gassed. One of them is Dr. Nyango, who was there. Malik was here, and several other men. So when you're saying about men, I don't know which men you're referring to. So that's number one. Number two, when you want to buy, you just go there and buy and don't worry about other people. You are saying that politics haina mafasiriko. You just go and to buy. All these men, kila mtu akona mambo yake. But what you need to do, what is our way forward as Kenyans? What do you want as Kenyans? Which kind of leaders do we need? Pigwin says very well that when we want all these things, we need a president who is proactive, that will make these things. Because we are seeing all these things happening because the president who are in power today is trying to make things work the way he wanted. So he has a lot of power. So those are the things that we want. And also, I think in these platforms, we are now much more over talking about the tribalism. We are here as Kenyans, and now we are trying our best in our spaces not to talk about who is it. We are talking about individuals, but not about the old tribes, because we are Kenyans and we want Kenya to work for us. So when we narrow it down to the tribalism, leave those people who are talking about tribalism. I think we are past of that. We are past that. And since June, we saw that. We are past that. There is the only thing that what I want to support what you're saying. Let us come together. Let us push things forward. So thank you so much for reminding us that. But hawa wanaume hawa unaona hapa wengi walikuwa hapo wakikula tiaga solonde. So sijali. Boni, go ahead and Wanjiru.
Kidogo, Hillary. Mine is less than a minute. So Grace, Grace said she vied for a position of women rep. So, Grace, going forward, I want you to own that leadership in you. You should be saying, hi, my name is Grace. I ran for women. I'm interested in running for women rep for a particular place. And this is what I'll do differently. You just give like 5 points. So that now people start associating you with that position. In fact, they'll start calling you women rep. Mheshimiwa. You have to own it first. So always introduce yourself as, my name is Grace, Women Rep 2027, place fulani. Najua maneno yenu imekaa hivi. You give like a few pointers, then now you go to the point. You know, because lead, you don't know how many people in their constituency are on that space. So they'll start now knowing you and identifying you with good governance. Who was next?
Yeah, Grace will come back, but let us Bonnie.
I think let's bring Bonnie quickly, and then we go to the next place.
Then we'll just finish. Yeah, in that order. Yes, Bonnie, go ahead.
Hey, thank you so much. Can you hear me?
100%.
Yes.
Awesome. So I just have 2 quick points that I want to make. The first one is that I want to challenge all of us here to remember that we don't have an option with respect to getting involved in politics. Anthony talked about his predicament, right? He's running a business, had 10 employees. He's come down to 2. And so Anthony might say that he wants to, I'm not saying he's saying that, but I'm saying if you're in Anthony's position and you're looking at what's happening and saying, I don't want to get involved in this, politics is going to find you where you are. You don't have a choice. If you follow me on X and you've seen my back and forth with county government of Kiambu, you're aware of what's happened in my case, right? I started a project where I wanted to develop a real estate, piece of real estate that I have there. I employed 25 people when I was, getting started to do the perimeter wall and all the other stuff that you need to do before you actually, embark on developing. And having employed those people for 3 months, which it turned out that most of the people that I employed were actually people that were recovering from alcoholism, right? I employed those people for 3 months, applied for the documents, for the approvals that I needed from the county government of Kiambu, and it took a year to be able to get them. I just got those approvals about a week ago, right? And my documents were taken by the county government of Kiambu and they were hidden. Just think about that from your government. They take documents, they hide them, and the only way I was able to get them back is to pay a ransom. My story is not different from what I'm hearing from people across the board. So I might not want to be political, but politics is gonna find me where I am, right? I just give you the example of what happened to me. So we don't have a choice. We have to get involved in politics to change things. So particularly people that are on this call that think that they can be better leaders, they think that you have a better vision for governance. We need to get involved, right? Part of our problem is that for a long time, smart people, good people, honest people, we've stayed away from politics because it's a dirty game, and we don't want to get involved with playing dirty games with some of these crooks. We have to step up and step in and offer ourselves. If you think you can be a better leader, think about it. I think I've already made it clear for myself that I'm considering running for governor, and I'm going to be spending a lot of time developing ideas and what I want to do. But I'm challenging everybody here who thinks that they can be a better leader to offer themselves. Second point, one of our speakers spoke about templates, right? Templates for, I think what he meant to say is models of governance, right? That we need to offer them. There's a lot of people here that are in the diaspora, for example. Someone like me, because I've had the opportunity to live in Kenya, I've lived in Canada, I've lived in the US, I know what a functioning government looks like. And I think that's what Kenyans are after for. Kenyans want to know that if they can walk into a school, they're going to find a teacher who knows how to do their job. They're going to find supplies. They're going to find a desk. And they're going to find all they need to be able to learn. When you walk into a hospital, you expect to see a doctor and a nurse and equipment and a system that's functioning. Anthony, you're right. You're the one who was talking about that. People that are in the diaspora, like you, like myself, like Hillary, we know what a government, the functions look like, right? I can walk in tomorrow to a government office and I'm looking for a license to start a business, and it's going to take me 5 or 10 minutes. I'm going to walk out with a license. If I go and apply for a passport and they tell me it's going to take 5 days, I'm going to check my mail and the passport is going to be there. If there is a process where you're bidding on a contract, let's say with the state government or county government, they tell you what the criteria is. They tell you how to apply for it, and you apply for it, and 98% of the time, it's going to function the way it's supposed to function. So the Kenyans are not asking for miracles. Kenyans just want a system of government that functions. So, I'm challenging people that are in the diaspora, people that know what a government that functions looks like. What a system that's not dominated by criminals look like, to sort of offer themselves, particularly for leadership. Offer yourself, because a lot of Kenyans have never seen. I'm not trying to disparage our country. A good majority of us have never seen a government that functions like that, where you can walk in and you need a license, and 5 or 10 minutes you get out and you have what you need. Most Kenyans have never seen that. We need to speak to Kenyans, and we need to be clear about the potential and the possibilities when a society is not governed and dominated by criminals and crooks. Thank you.
Yeah, Abdi and then
Thank you, Bonnie. Next I was actually taking it. I'm seeing 1-0. Let's have 1-0. Then we have Daniel. Then Josephine.
Hello.
I just keep me the time. Hey.
Hello, Hilary.
Go on, 1-0.
Sorry, Josephine, I'm sure you can get a chance after I speak. Can you hear me, just to confirm?
100%. Go on.
Okay, thank you very much. Just to, for my introduction, I don't live in Kenya, I live in the diaspora. And like what Bonnie has said, we do have the advantage of experiencing systems that actually work. And also, we also have experienced working with systems that can be questioned in a very, very structured way. So, for example, if I go to the hospital today and I'm not seen by a doctor within a certain amount of time, because hospitals have been given targets that they have to meet, the waiting time, if I go to accident and emergency, they have a target. So if I'm not seen within that time, I have every right to complain. And the complaint is not where I stand there and start shouting. There is a procedure where I put my complaint, and the hospital has to respond to me in writing within a certain amount of time. And then I can push that. Because of that accountability, we find that the hospitals and the schools and all these systems, even if you book a train, you buy a train ticket and the train is supposed to pick you up at 8 o'clock. If the train comes 5 minutes after, you have a right to demand a refund of your money, even if you take the journey, because they have broken that contract. They've run, late, probably you're late for an appointment or an interview. So you have those systems. So in Kenya, we don't have those structures where systems can be checked by the consumers. And that's why the government itself feels that we can pay taxes and they're not accountable for the services that those taxes should be giving to citizens. So what I need to say now is that we need to have a system how we can start to empower citizens that they can be able to raise concerns. And I think the best way we can do that is to start at the ward level, where we have people within the movement who are stationed in every ward. And then we can start looking at what is going wrong at the ward level. So are the roads not, serviced? Is the water working? Is electricity, serviced? Are the dispensaries working? Are the schools working? How many students do we have in a classroom? Do we have teachers? Are they trained? So we need to start questioning right from the ward level. And at the ward level, a report needs to be generated by the people working at the ward level. And this report needs to be sent to maybe the governor. If there's a problem with education, that needs to be sent to the Ministry of Education. And then if we find that as a country, looking at different wards and different areas, there are issues to do with education, then citizens can be put together to sign a petition. And if we get 100,000 people signing a petition about education, then we demand that this has to be addressed at probably in Parliament. And we demand that we have representatives from these people assembly going into Parliament to ask questions, just like, we see MPs asking CS's question. We also demand that we can be invited, people from the assembly can be invited into Parliament when we put this petition so that we can ask these questions. I think we need to put more accountability for this government. And then the other thing I was thinking about is to think about the well-being of the nation at this point. Because when you hear people are saying that we called people for, demonstrations or to Uhurupark and people didn't show up, people are scared. It's true, people are scared because the government is brutalizing. So not everybody is feeling that they are brave enough to come out. So a lot of people want to, but they are scared. And also, some people are not even cannot even afford to take that, journey. Probably you live in Kiambu, you want to go to Uhurupark, but you're not working and you don't have even the money. So the state of the nation is such that people are scared. People's mental health is not in the right place. When you hear all these people are dying, all these bodies are being found in places, and you leave home, you don't even know whether you're going to come back alive. If you're going out, for example, in Uhurupark today. So you can think about the well-being of the people. And I think in that case, we also need to also be doing, well-being checks. If you have a WhatsApp group, or if you live in a small estate, just checking on each other and just checking that everybody is okay, because we might think we are okay, but I think what's going on in this country now, I think it's really affecting the well-being of the people. People are not functioning the way they should be functioning because there's so many things that people are worried about every single day. You wake up every day and there's a scandal. You wake up every day and you hear, like today, a building collapsed. Nobody's even bothered about that because I think the government is worried about, how they're going to navigate this impeachment. And you just see that a building collapses and it's not even, it's not even highlighted in the news because all they're talking about is the Mashuja and who was sitting behind next to the president. I think we've got to a point in this country where we've lost it completely. And I don't know how we can regroup back again and bring people back to the point where we were on June 25th, because we were not as bad as we are now. I think people are now too scared, too worried that bringing people out in that kind of way will never happen again. So we need to think about other strategies. And my strategy is about bringing a lot of accountability. And where we can say to the government, if you're not providing adequate healthcare, why should we be paying our taxes? Why should we be paying our taxes and turn up to hospitals and there's no healthcare? Why should our students be crammed up in a classroom with no teachers? Why should we be paying our taxes? And yet we see our taxes being used by politicians driving all these guzzlers, taking, trips abroad and, going into Parliament and, just, acting as if, they own us. And yet we are the ones funding this lifestyle. We are the ones funding them. They have private healthcare. Their children study abroad. And we're the one who are paying taxes to fund that lifestyle. And then they give us the contempt, you know. They just treat us like we are nothing. So I think as citizens, we need to start thinking, are we going to carry on as usual, as if nothing is happening? Are we just going to carry on paying our taxes and get no services back? Or is there a way we can start thinking how we can recall our taxes and say, well, I'm not seeing why I should be paying because there is no services being provided by the government. I'm happy to pay my taxes, but I need accountability. If there's no services, I shouldn't be asked to be paying the taxes. You know, you think about business people, you're paying your licenses, and just outside your business, there's a heap of garbage. The city council is not collecting garbage, but they come and harass you to pay your business rates and your licenses. And yet they're not providing any services. When it rains, it floods because they don't clear the drainage. And yet you pay your taxes for this to happen. And then probably you lose your business because, you know, the water washes away everything that you own. And yet they still want you to pay. And we still pay because we are very good citizens. We still carry on paying. But when are we going to say no? Enough is enough. You give us our services that our taxes, you know, demand for, or we recall the taxes. Sorry, I'm just getting a bit emotional, so I think I'm just going to drop on that note. So thank you.
Thank you, Wanjiru. I actually believe that Kenya is getting to that point of what you're talking about. We had a meeting with several guys who run businesses, and they said, I think, let me give a number, out of 20, 18 said, we can't take this further than March. If by next year, and they said March is just us now giving government too much time. But guys, let me tell you, Kenyans are getting to a breaking point, especially people in the private sector. But Hillary, I want to drop for a few minutes and do 1, 2, 3. It's raining heavily here. But as we bring in Daniel, then Josephine, sure, Wanjiru, you know, I get you. Daniel, then Josephine in that one.
Hello everyone. I hope you can hear me because there was some static when I think Anthony was talking and also Wanjiru. I hope my voice is audible. And okay, before I say anything, let me just put like a preface on this. I'm going to outline a problem which is relevant, and then I'm going to provide a context for it. And then after providing a context for it, I'm going to outline my idea of a solution, and however that solution sounds, just hold on. I'm going to say why that is the solution, I think. Okay, now the context is the reason. The reason the parliamentarians are acting the way they do. I hope I'm audible, because there was lagging. Okay, so the reason the parliamentarians are acting the way they do, if you look at it, the reason the parliamentarians are acting the way they do, if you look at it logically, is that a lot of them know they're not coming back. Okay, like they know it. So what they're doing is they are looking at a situation from like before it happens. They're wondering, by the time I find out I'm not coming back, it's going to be too late. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cash in now, so that in case I don't come back, I've already cashed in. So it's not like that they lost their mind, they don't know what they're doing, they suddenly became these stupid psychophants. No, it's that there's a huge chance I'm not coming back. So since by the time I'm finding out I'm not coming back, it's going to be 2027. So let me cash in now as a contingency. Now, that's the context of why they're doing what they're doing. Now, and also there's a PSYOPs operation in it, but yeah, that's majorly why they're doing what they're doing. Now, the solution proposed, however outrageous it is, just listen.
There's a guy who's been proposing the ideas to occupy their properties and whatever and whatever and whatever. There's a good reason why I'm going here, so be patient. They occupy their properties. I am not even saying we occupy their properties, no, but we should be able to have a very, very public with guys who, like the same way we were saying about all these laws in parliament and all these stupid things they're doing, we should be able to outline what all these people own. For the express reason that I am not old, I am young, but I'm looking at what these people are doing in the grand scheme of things, for all intents and purposes, new total. Because what you need to understand is that Kenya is just a population of people on a piece of land surrounded by the rest of humanity. And when you look at what other people on a not that much different piece of land are doing with their people, with their country, with their resources, is like you're like, what the hell? Okay, like there are better things to do than EU Toto, because what the parliament is doing right now is it's a psyops operation where you bombard people with very, very stupid legislations to keep them angry so that you can be able to direct their emotions, because a fact of human psychology is that anger dissipates. And once anger dissipates, the person is usually anakuanga tired, which is what they're doing. But when you look at it from a grand scheme of things, new Toto wanafanya, like they're older, but it is just seemingly sophisticated, grammatically well organized Toto, from my point of view. So we should be able to tell them, hey, we know your properties and we know where they are. We do not have time for these stupid things you're doing. So if you mess with our lives, we mess with yours. You go to parliament, do what you want, but if you pass things against us, we go to your properties, we mess them all up, and we mess with your life. Then we go about ours. Like, we do not have time for this. Like, that's my opinion. Because it's they will not stop until you're completely tired. And if you look at the grand scheme of things of what nations are doing, populations of people, there are better things we should be doing with our time, with our lives, with our resources, with our energies than this stupid nonsense. Because most of it is primarily driven by contingency for 2027, and also a very big, pardon my French, fuck you for what we did to them in June, which is the driving forces for what they're doing. Now, the reason I'm proposing this is because when I say we have better things to do, we do have better things to do. Because we have a president that is cutting the country into pieces and selling it to himself via proxy. And the guy has even reached a point where he's acting like a spoiled diva. I think there's an airport named after him already. There's a university he's constructing naming after him. Like, the guy has reached, he's already started acting like a spoiled diva. As I'm gonna name that after myself, that lake. Like, the guy has already reached there. We have more important things to focus on than these two politicians with their stupid games. Like, that is my opinion. We should and the reason for that is that since wameamua kufanya hizi utoto, we should treat them like that. We should be like, hey, mi sina demu ya kushinda nikikimbizana na wewe. Here's the thing. If you mess with our lives, we mess with yours. Now go ye forth and do you, and we do we. Because we really, like, there are so many things we should be doing with our lives, not like running these two stupid psyops games that the parliamentarians are running. Because they don't even intend to pass the laws. You could tukasirisha too, and then they put them aside. So we're just like, hey, you go and do whatever you want. But if that law passes and it is against us, we mess with your life, and then we go about. And then we go about our lives. Because ni kama mtoto, ukigusia kitu tena na kuchapa, sasa wewe enda ufanye unataka. And that frees us from all these stupid anger tantrums that they're trying to give us. And it frees us to actually focus on the actual problem, which is the president. I'm done.
Thank you. I think that was a good submission. I'll bring in Dr. Milton to chime in, and then we can let another set of speakers. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I thought it was my turn.
Oh, yeah, Josephine, please go ahead, Josephine. Go ahead, Josephine.
Go ahead, Josephine.
Thank you so much. And you have to pay some fine because you have skipped me more than 4 times. There's some fine to be paid, I think. Yeah, thank you so much, Hilarion and Abdi. I also want to appreciate Anton was still around. And I want to say good evening, fellow Kenyans, wherever you are. Good morning, good afternoon. Yeah, thank you so much. Actually, I've just been listening, and we are still Okay, I think some of us are really trying to figure out how best we can fix our country and what we think. But one thing I strongly feel is that, fellow Kenyans, we have not, it has not come clear in our minds that we do not have a government. I think there was somebody, was it Momanyi or somebody who talked about that, who mentioned that. However, what we need to know why we are saying that, you are looking for somebody to honor for murder cases whereby there's nobody supposed to own that, because hurriedly, remember, fellow Kenyans, where the moment we invented into the parliament, actually we started representing ourselves. We no longer have parliament, yet we have allowed these goons to continue pretending that they are representing us and they are representing the people, and nobody thinks in those parameters about how best we can deal with this issue. Because even the issue of impeachment, you cannot impeach people while you do not have a parliament in place in the first place. Point number 2, it would have even been made easier for us, because if you remember, Justice Maranga, before he resigned, before he retired, he actually nullified the parliament because of not attaining the gender that rule. We are not advocating for it even neither, because right now with whatever we have, we cannot condone them. But these are also other avenues that we can use to clear them out and tell them actually they are in office illegally and they cannot do anything on behalf of us as Kenyans. And that's why now Ruto, he has decided to make the country the way he wants it by himself, and is running the country like his own home right now. I'm sorry to say that. But the honest truth is, if you see what has happened today, it's clear that despite that they have decided that they are not going to do what the court had just prohibited them from doing, actually they are not doing it, they are doing it physically, but theoretically it's not being done according to them. Now, fellow Kenyans, if Ruto has gotten to this level of telling you, guys, look, if I can just buy the parliament and clear this deputy president who has been elected by the people just like this, how about you, a Kenyan who is out there to tell me I don't need you? What prohibits me from doing what I want to do? Fellow Kenyans, we need to wake up and know that, come into terms with the reality. Ruto has declared that we are not even going to have election through whatever communication he's communicating in his meetings, wherever he addresses the public. We need to pick the non-fables. We need to pick what is directing us to. If you have heard clearly the other day, a senator was saying that we need to bring back into this country the laws in the previous constitution, which was prohibiting people from talking about the president. What does that tell you? It's something on the pipeline which is going to be passed, and they will pass it. You know, the parliament is there and they will pass it. The other day, there is also a motion right now in parliament actually trying to deliberate whether using Twitter and Space and also using Facebook, it's ideal for us in Kenya because it's going against the will of the government, according to them. If we are not careful, all these orders will be passed. And once they are passed, you will find yourself actually being summoned to court with a fine of either 1 million or 1 year in prison because of just talking about the president in the space or in the WhatsApp and knowingly whether it has been prohibited and the law has the bill has been passed into law. Fellow Kenyans, there is ukiona kuna moshi, jua kuna moto.
Okay, good.
Already there is a plan to actually terminate Chief Justice Martha Koome and they put Moses Wetangula as the Chief Justice. Every one of us have witnessed what Wetangula did the other day in the parliament. And now, actually, yeye ndiye anapendekezwa Martha Koome afutwe. He takes up as the Chief Justice. Fellow Kenyans, what I have to do, I think there's a lot. Personally, I
I'll let
think
you land,
I spend my
Grace.
Mashujaa Day well. I'm all standing. I spent my Mashujaa Day well. I met several people and I've shared my food for thought and my 2 cents regarding the whole thing. But what I'm calling upon you, fellow Kenyans, is that can we wake up and stop complaining? Can we wake up and even stop getting distracted by people who are doing their own things because we think they have been bought, and we keep the focus on what we are doing? Can we do what you can do best? If you are a council, can you do what you can do best to save this country? If you can prepare a document and you cannot take action beyond it, you can look for people who are bold enough to do that and take it up. Kindly, fellow Kenyans, as I wish you a great Mashujaa Day, and also as I continue honoring our fellow Kenyans and our youth who are killed, I really pray that the moment we see any documentary.
Thank you, Grace, for your presentation. Before I bring in Dr. Milton, I just want to chime in a little bit. I don't know whether anyone read The Looting Machine by Tom Burgess. I think the looting machine, we see how multinational corporations, often backed by foreign government and local elites, exploit African resources while leaving the people impoverished. I think Kenya is now facing similar situation with the privatization of key assets like our airport, energy, infrastructure, transport network, notably with the looming Adani deal. This mirrors what Tom Burgess describes as foreign entities gaining control over strategic national resources in the name of development, while the real benefit accrue to small elites and the multinational corporations themselves. I think the potential leasing of JKA to Adani, for example, it's not threatens our sovereignty, but also puts critical infrastructure in the hands of foreign powers, limiting control of our resources. I'll leave it there for now. Dr. Milton, please go ahead.
Thank you so much. I think I'm listening, and I like listening a lot because of the different views that are coming in. I think what is important for us at this point in time is like I said, we need to define specific actions that we need to undertake as a people and specific strategies for mobilization, because I think we have already spent a lot of time, and as much as we should, to the greatest extent possible, to make sure that the message is home. What we need now is, and those who have been in politics, like my brother Juma can tell you, that what we now need to do is the get out the vote strategy. Only difference is that this time around, the get out the vote strategy is we are now looking for ways of getting out our people against this regime. And you know, I can assure you that the moment, if you know our Kenyan politicians, the moment the presidency is exposed, and it could never be more exposed than it is right now, the moment William Ruto is exposed, all those other people that we're talking about, and that is why I want to agree with the speaker who said the problem is the presidency, because the presidency gives all these other mediocre leaders the belief that they are invincible. The moment the president is shaken, the moment the president is weakened, then all these other people will not even try to appear anywhere in public, because they know that they have no spine of their own, they cannot stand on their own, they're just puppets. So that is what we need to focus. But even as we do so, my submission is that we cannot just wait for the fall of William Ruto so that we can get rid of these other fellows. There are several other ways we can get the pressure up and bumped up so that they feel it, and so that even then the president will also be shaken. And this is one of the things I think we now need to focus on is what can we do to deny these MPs the oxygen that they breathe on? One, is there a way we can make it impossible for them to go to parliament? And we can do this from the constituency level, where we force them. First of all, we deplatform them. Not the way we want to deplatform Caswell and others, but we deplatform them from speaking in churches, from speaking in any function, including, and how I wish our people would have the courage to do this. And that's why earlier on I spoke to the spirit of Mekatilili Wamenza and our forefathers. People who would say, and I had the opportunity of interacting with the late Martin Shikuku, and he gave me some very, very important lessons from the independence struggle of how they could rather, they opted to go hungry instead of taking a loaf of bread that was being given by the colonialists. And instead they went to the farms to look for fruits and other berries and wild fruits for them to have something in their stomach. That is one way of doing it. Why are we allowing these members of parliament to come and address us when we are giving our final respects to our loved ones? Funerals and burials, why are they coming to address them? They come with crowds. First of all, they come late. Number two, they make sure they are coming with the droves of people, dozens of idlers and their cheerleaders, and the whole meeting has to stop. Can we make it our business and say we are not going to allow these people to come to our funerals and behave as though they without them nothing is going to happen? And the reason why they do this is because we are always at their doorstep begging for them, oh please tununulie coffee na tuna gari ya kupeleka marehemu nyumbani, and all those things. We need to look at those small things that we can do. And the other thing I have also in mind, and which I've talked about, and I'm going to repeat it here, the frustration of the people that we called for Mashujaa Day, people to come at Uhurupark, our people didn't show up. Some didn't show up because they feared the unleashing of police brutality on themselves. Those who were there, they did what they did. But I still believe in the story, the biblical story of Jericho, that we don't need to gather all of us in Nairobi. We don't need to gather all of us in one central place. We can do it wherever we are in our small places. If you come from West Mogirango like myself, can we focus our energy at that level and get people in numbers coming out at the constituency level so that we leave it to the people of Nairobi, the different constituencies in Nairobi mobilizing themselves. Instead of, if we are talking about CBD, can we have the people of Dagoretti North, the people of Starehe, the people of Langata coming out and storming those areas, Embakasi East, we are talking of Jacaranda, and the whole republic. If we are able to mobilize like that, one, that becomes effective for two reasons. Number one, it is less demanding in terms of the mobilization effort and the logistics because of the smaller area that you cover, and because you then take advantage of the weakness of the police deployment. Those rural areas are not as heavily deployed as Nairobi would be. Those rural areas would not have the opportunity to deploy the military or assign them as it would be for Nairobi. And therefore, if we do that, then we are able to overcome the people that William Ruto are likely to use at that level against the people. If we do that, we will be able to make it a national thing. It will become a snowball. And if you now get all those people and say, we are now marching to Nairobi, or we are now walking to one regional place where then 3 or 5 constituencies come together, and that is where we hold our rallies. We would be able to be more effective, and we will be able to rebuild the level of confidence in the people, and the fear will be gone. Now, lastly, what we now also need to do is to identify media outlets through which we are going to spread the word. Because you realize, and I think I've spoken about this in the past, that without as well as we do here in these spaces, we need to reach out to the masses down there. So we need to identify. Royal Media, for example, may have been doing some good work. If you're talking about Nation and the so-called mainstream media houses, do they still have the mettle? And do they have the capacity to stand up against William Ruto? Or will their editorial and content dissemination structure be interfered with by the state? That is a question that we need to ask ourselves, because again, without having identified partner media outlets that will tell our story, that will do podcasts, that will do those interviews with our people, that will make sure that we put out these things out there for our people to follow, then we are speaking to ourselves and basically preaching to the converted. So what we must identify as part of the strategy, and a lot of the people that are out there on the ground, those are in the diaspora, for example, may not have that benefit of being on the ground, but they have the message, they have the if they got the platform, they can be able to speak directly to the people, so that we don't have to rely on Citizen TV, for example. If they don't invite you for the breakfast show with Trevor, or if they don't invite you to be on Citizen, what is it called, the evening show, then you have no other space through which you can, you don't have the national platform for you to be able to address these things. But how do we nationalize any other outlets that are willing to work with the people of Kenya in terms of being the media through which these messages will get to the people? Vernacular radio stations, do we have influencers and other people who have great followings? How do we then move these conversations from the X spaces to the platforms where the people have? Do we have people within the diaspora fraternity who have frequencies for radio stations who are not able to go live, that we can then inject the professional skills and input for us to be able to start disseminating information through radio, for example? Do we have people who have TV broadcasting licenses, but they are not able to go live because of one reason or another, and they are holding their license in the pockets? Do we have those people? Come out, speak to us. Some of us are media professionals. Do you have information you want to pass, but you feel you're being frustrated by the media as we know it? We can be the people to follow each other and now nationalize those so-called entities that are small media houses to become big enough as to be the vehicles that we will use to pass the word around to our people. Revolutions never succeed where there is media apathy. Media is a major partner. And the legal fraternity is a major partner, and the will of the people can only be successful where those three elements are put together so that we can be able to disseminate the information but inspire the confidence of our people that what they are doing is not in vain. And I say so because I have seen some comment here, somebody who said, "Hii Kenya palimefika, hata there is no reason to fight for it." It is a comment that is on this space tonight, that wacha iende vile itakuwa. And that is the level of frustration and desperation that our people are having. So I just want to leave it at that and request that we seriously think about doing those things and making sure that we mobilize our people strong enough for us to be able to get the outcomes that we desire. And I like the conversation. Let's keep asking the tough questions, but we need to get our hands dirty as much as we can. If we can prioritize those areas, look at the wards, the lowest political level that we can be able to mobilize these demonstrations, if we are able to do it, we will succeed. Thank you, comrades.
Thank you so much, Dr. For that. And one thing I want to echo is that those people who have media houses that they're just in the pocket, let us know. Let us know. We are looking for them deeply, and we've been looking for them to see what can happen. And then thank you to remind us that Honorable Neto, I see you. Welcome on board. Wanjiru, I see you're back before Samuel.
Yeah, can I just chime in for 1 minute?
Right, then Samuel, you'll go ahead.
I just want to echo what Dr. Milton has just said. When we were debating the university funding model, we saw different forums being put together to debate this issue. And I wonder whether we could do the same where we go to different groups of people in society. For example, we could actually have a forum for women in the market, women who sell in the market, where we can create a forum for them, and then they can channel all their views in that forum. Then we can have the border people, we can have teachers, we can have doctors, we can have different people within the communities. Even farmers can also have their own forum where their views are collected in there. And then we can have then another way of bringing all these views together, because we find that there are people who are being left behind. And when we were, when they were doing the public participation, you saw how, especially in Nakuru, where they went to the market, and you saw how these women were, they really wanted to voice their concerns. So giving people a platform where they can talk, maybe in town halls or in other platforms where these people are listened to, their views are taken, and then if you have a platform, if you're an influencer, then you can bring these views and you can debate them on a different platform, even on national TV. The views of the Mama Mboga can be debated, the views of the farmers can be debated, but we need to have a structure where these views can be collected within the movement and then taken to the media houses. Thank you. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Sorry, if you may allow me just to come back for 1 minute or less. I want to say that it is important for some of us to let you know that yes, we even though we are not where we want to be yet, we also want to ask that whenever you have those events that you want to get coverage and the media is not sending you the cameras and you want a professional to get into it, please reach out to us. Let us know. Some of us have the networks. As a media professional, I run my online media platform. It is fully registered. It operates as a professional outlet. You can reach out. We will send you crew because again, the mainstream media will frustrate you. You have your event, you want coverage, they will not send you crew. Why? Because you're not aligned to the government. So please let us know. We can send out crew to you, and our teams will put together the content. We will publish it on our website. Those of you who know it, you can follow me and follow the outlet. We will be able to put it there. Do you have an opinion that is so controversial that is not being published out there? Please send it to us. We want in our small way to use that which we have, because you remember, even when Moses was going to get the children of Israel, faced with the Red Sea, and behind the army of Egyptians was coming after them, God asked Moses, "What do you have with you?" And Moses said he only had his fimbo. Hiyo fimbo ndo iligeuka ikakuwa something that rescued, split the sea for them to go through. So sometimes, even when we are still looking out for others, let us exhaust the resources that we have within ourselves, in terms of the people who are willing to support us, in terms of the little resources that we have and the platforms available to ourselves. I think it is important for that to be emphasized, because even if it will be 10 people that will get to watch that interview on YouTube, the word will go out there, because after that it will be generated into short videos and content that will be shared by way of TikTok and other platforms for our people to be able to get this information. Please let us maximize on that, because it is very, very important at this point in time. And again, we have seen government using its power to dim the media, because they know the media houses that are watched. This is the time to take advantage of that possible abuse of power to still make sure that our people are able to get access to the information that we want them to get. I will end at that, but maybe when we get another opportunity, I would want to address the religious leadership and how we could use that structure to also impact have an impact on what we want to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Milton. I want to acknowledge also Nonini, and I think Justice wanted to come back to give to respond to Anthony. I'll leave it there. Okay, Dr. Neto, please take over. Thank you.
Nimetaka kuongea muda mrefu.
So someone you're gonna give you Honorable Neto, how are you doing today?
Thank you very much. My apologies, Hillary. I've been in the middle of many things in this country that you have given to fellows who want to poison each other. They want to make sure that some of them die faster. So at least that's a good thing. If they can poison each other, so we do not have to bother with them. We just need to reconstruct our country. But I'm fine, and I got in when Milton, Dr. Milton was speaking, and of course some of the things he was saying I like, and some of them, like a politician. Most politicians like funerals. And the villagers also like politicians speaking in funerals. So even those politicians who do not speak in funerals, they actually wonder what is wrong with you. So deplatforming them at funerals might be a good bad thing. But I really think that, yes, it's time we took charge of our hands. But I want to say two things. I think we are in a civic political struggle. In the civic space, we've done very well. There's a lot of awareness. There's a lot of engagement. And, over the past couple of months since May, I think many Kenyans are very aware of their rights. Many Kenyans are aware of what needs to be done. And many Kenyans are ready to ask questions. I think the place where we're not doing very well as the opposition or as a movement is in the political organizing. And having been a politician and having run for office, I can tell you that ukiona vielea ujue vimeundwa. Those people who appear in Kamukunji for Raila Odinga's rallies, those people who appear in Uhurupark for those rallies, there's an organization around it. There are systems around it. As much as it's said that the June 25th was organic, for you to sustain political systems, you need boots on the ground. We really need to agree in terms of when do we get boots on the ground. That's the first thing. The second thing, I had someone say that, we will need to take charge of the rural areas. My understanding, politics is war. Politics is soft war. So you want to stretch the forces where into the various countrysides, but you must also remember that war is about strategic objectives. So we must hit where it hurts most. So, if at all you do something in Luanda or in Kabuoch or in Vanga, it'll be some little pockets. You must hit where it hurts most. The third thing I'd like to say, so that at least I give it up to some other people to speak, is that what's happening in Kenya is not unique. I think it's okay. We are good. We are in the process of national growth, which is a very good thing. I think President Ruto is just mistaken that he wants to rule Kenya like Moi. The only thing he doesn't understand is that the constitution that enabled Moi rule the way he was is not the one that he has in its hands. So that is the advantage that we have. We're in a stage of national growth. We can steer this ship the way we want, because one of the things we have is we have a strong and a good constitution, and we have a citizen that is aware and a citizen that is slightly more mobilized than we were. Moi only used to have KBC and KBC Radio and KBC TV. Now we have various platforms, we have various social media platforms, and we also have a very good constitution. So I really think the point I want to speak now, before I come in later, is we must be deliberate about our political organizing. There cannot be staccato organizing. There cannot be ad hoc organizing. The political organizing must be consistent, must be persistent, and must be intense. Thank you very much, Hilary, and I'm happy to listen to other people.
Yeah, thank you. I'll just add quickly into that. I think there was also a religious perspective Dr. Milton brought about. I think in any liberation movement, I think the political and the religious organizations play a distinct roles, but they play a complementary role. I think political organizations are essential in organizing, strategizing, mobilizing the masses towards a goal of liberation. I think they provide the framework for governance, policy making that reflects the aspiration of the people. However, their effectiveness is limited when disconnected from the moral and spiritual ground that religious organizations provide, I think religious organizations, on the other hand, anchor the movement in a sense of moral justice, offering high purpose and ethical framework that the political organizations sometimes lack. I think both complement one another, and I think they connect the struggle for liberation with values, compassion, and solidarity, motivating individuals to even face adversity. Thank you. That's my addition.
Okay, thank you so much, Abdi, for that. Yes, Samuel, go ahead. Samuel, just as wait. Samuel, go ahead.
Asante. Nafikiri mnanisikia vizuri.
Nakupata.
Asante, labda nitatumia lugha ya Kiswahili.
Tumia hiyo ndio lugha takatifu, lugha taifa, lugha
asante, kwa sababu mimi mwenyewe ni mtu wa Coast.
Tumia tu watu wote wanaelewa Kiswahili.
Asante. Kwanza nitashukuru host. Naona unafanya kazi nzuri, kwa sababu ni muda kidogo sana nimejaribu kuomba niongee, na naona umejukumika vizuri, na labda nitatoa tu maoni kidogo upande wa kuongea. Ingekuwa vizuri tukuwe na nafasi ya kuongea na kupisha wengine, kwa sababu unaona, hata nikiangalia naona ni watu wengi wamenyosha mikono, lakini the time ile ambao wanapata kuongea, wengine wanaongea sana. Nafikiri tukitumia ile njia, kwa hata kama ni kwa parliament watu wanatumia some minutes, nafikiri ingekuwa vizuri, ndo watu wengine pia watoe maoni yao.
Mimi nakuelewa kabisa, na unajua hiyo muda unachukua
ndio
kutoa maoni yao. tunapeana dakika 3, lakini ukipewa dakika 3 pia uko na mambo mengi ya kusema, so hiyo ndio tatizo, lakini wewe endelea na maoni yako.
Asante, hiyo ilikuwa ni suggestion. So mimi kitu nitakazoanza kuongea kwanza, Waswahili wanasema umoja wa chungu ulijenga kichugu. So katika kila mahali tukiwa na umoja na kunia kitu kimoja, hakuna jambo ambalo linaweza likatushinda kulifanya. Isipokuwa mara nyingi naona strategies zetu ambazo watu tunazitumia sometimes zinatufanya tuna hit the wall, kwa sababu zile strategies ambazo naona katika zile siasa zinavyoendelea katika taifa letu la Kenya ni siasa ambazo zinataka tuweke more strategies ambazo zitatufanyisha tuko at the level tunafikiria vile Rais Ruto anavyofanya. We think more than vile anavyofikiria, lakini mara mingi sana tunakuwa na maoni mazuri, tunakuwa na kuchangia mambo mazuri, lakini inafika wakati tunaona watu wawili ama watatu ama kati yetu watu wengine wanaanza kukatwa vichwa ama wanatolewa katika ile mood ya kumotivate. Kuna watu wengine ambao wakiona mtu mwingine amekuwa he is a good speaker na ni mtu strong, he is a youth and he is a good communicator, he can communicate, watu wakianza kumuona this is the right person ambayo tunaweza tukamove pamoja, tunamsikia kwa a lot of platforms, mara tunasikia that person amedisappear. Hasa kuna watu wengine wako na nguvu za kuongea, akigongwa kidogo inakuwa kama jiwe kubwa limeanguka juu ya jiwe zingine, inagonga zile mawe mengine ambao wako kule chini, wale ambao wanaona kama this person is a good motivator, lakini sasa ameshikwa ama amefungwa, then the other people tunaanza kurudi chini na tunakosa nguvu za kusonga mbele. Ni juu sasa other people wale ambao wanaongea wanakuwa kama tumbo crab, yani anakuja na strategy za kuwa anataka apate upenyo mahali fulani aingie, lakini kile kitu anachokiangalia ni manufaa yake mwenyewe, si manufaa ya uongozi. The spirit of leadership kwake haiko. So tumemwona tu just amekuwa talented, anajua kuongea, but anaenda alafu baadaye tunapoteana, tunapoteana. Tunasikia watu wengine wamekuwa labda abducted as youth, hata other people hatujui, ama wamejitokezea wameachiliwa baada ya kuwa abducted. But what are we doing as now? Tumesikia mtu mwingine amekuwa abducted na ameachiliwa. Sasa tumefanya nini as youth? What is our say? Kile kitu tunaongea kitu gani? Na after kuongea, what is our step? What is our concrete solution? Kitu ambacho kinatufanyisha hata rais anashtuka, kama vile ile movement vile tulivyoinuka kama Genz, alishtuka na yeye mwenyewe akaketa akaangalia strategies ambazo atakisha watu wamenyamaza, atakisha watu so akaenda akafikia beyond watu sasa ambao tumeinuka, akafikiria beyond sisi. So kile kitu ambacho unaona kinatuchanganya kidogo, ambacho unaona nikiongelee ni kwa mara nyingi nyoka anaingia kwa nyumba, alafu baada ya kuwa sasa tuangalie jinsi tunavyodili na huyo nyoka juu ameingia katika nyumba zetu. Sisi tunatoka mbio ndani ya nyumba, tunatoroka na tunaacha hiyo nyumba ikiwa nyoka amebaki hapo ndani ya nyumba yetu. This is our nation. Hii ni country yetu, ni Kenya yetu, lakini sasa mwenye anatuongoza kwa ukweli kabisa tunaona ni kama nyoka, lakini sisi tunafanyaje? Watu wengi sasa tunaongea mambo mazuri, tunakuwa na maoni mazuri, lakini instead to move on, watu wengine tunaanza kukimbia na tunaanza kutoroka. Sasa hiyo ndo naona ni strategies ambazo ningeomba sana tuweze kuzingatia na kuangalia, ili hatimaye tunapoendelea kuwa na umoja tunakuwa strong. Na CBD, tukisema CBD, kwa sababu hata kuna mmoja hapa ameongea kuhusu mambo ya kuwa watu wapewe knowledge, wapewe wazungukiwe ama tufundishane, tuangalie how tutafikia watu wengine, tuwaambie ni kuwa hata upande wa huku coast, mimi natoka Kilifi, lakini kuna watu wengine ambao majority are youth, but once wakisikia vijana wamejitokezea, what comes in their mind, wanafikiria it is only Nairobi. Wakisikia the word CBD, they think about Nairobi. They don't know that hata Kilifi ama Mombasa ama Kwale, there's that we can raise and say we want to this and we want to this. Here it is a spirit ambayo it's like a mind ambayo imekuwa implemented kwa watu, baadhi ya watu ambao sasa wako kama upande huku kwetu, extra upande kama wa Coast Kilifi ama Pwani, kwa ujumla Pwani, ambao inataka watu tukaweze kuwa watazungukiwa, waelezewe, vijana waambiwe kwa this is how politics going, the current situation of politics is going on, na ni kitu gani tunataka tufanye, na ni tukisikia tunajitokezea mahali, si kujitokezea mahali watu wako Nairobi, kwa sababu I'm mentioning the word Nairobi kwa sababu watu wengi wanajua once we mention about CBD it is only Nairobi. Once we mention about tunaenda kama hivi leo ilikuwa ni watu wanajitokezea, tunaenda hapo wakuje waitokezea juu ya kusherehekea siku ya mashujaa. Watu wengi wanafikiria hata imeorganizewa Kwale count, but watu wengi wamefikiria tu it is still Nairobi. That is spirit, that mentality najaribu kuerase, ili once we do a rally, once we do
Samuel utaendelea kumaliza sasa Endelea kumaliza, asante.
Okay, asante kwa hiyo nafasi, na labda nitakipata nafasi tena nitaendelea contribute. Asante sana.
Asante.
Can I begin? Yeah. Thank you. It's been long. Thank you. I have heard about everything you guys have said. It's nice. But you have to understand one thing. We do not know, we have to know where we are coming from so that we know where we are going. As per now, we were coming from Kibaki's ideas to Vision 2030. And up to this point, hakuna mtu mwenye ameweka another vision. Vision zenye ziko sahi ni za Ruto personal. That's why he is able to bring Adani and give a 30 years contract, because there is nobody mwenye anamuonesha ama anasema tuko hapa na tunaendelea pale. Hata hiyo 2030 bado hatujafikisha. So I believe that we have to organize a think tank. I think Dr. Milton, you have the right ideas. If we have a think tank, and one think tank whereby doctors, all professions come together for the vision from now 40 years. From now 40 years, I think if we surpass that of Adani, it will be much better, because Adani is not there just to have and bring things. It is there also to destroy. It will destroy, that's a fact. But because we have a vision behind it, there will be a pressure that will be bringing it into that vision. As per now, it's like we have given them an open check. And an open check with the president, who will maybe not be there, but the cronies behind him will be there to support him until the end. So we have to have a vision 20, now we are 2025, we put 40 years from now, it will be 2065. Even if right now, maybe by then we will not be there, the vision will be there. And those people that we are supposed to, who have crafted that vision, they have crafted it to their best knowledge for their kids and their kids' kids. So in that thing, we have to have a cartography of the Kenyan maps. We have to know where are our minerals and where are our sources of income and how to protect them. then we have to put inside that vision, we will know, obviously there will be analysis and trends, which of our resources, that will be like climate change, we'll know that will be impactful by then differently. Impact of digitalization, country age, how will it age, shifting of power, and then growing concentration. So if we have this document in our minds or with our people, they will not deviate from it. And if we work with our people, those who are in parliament right now or those who will come afterwards, they will know also how to push it, because it's not only parliament, but also the people and the religious leaders. They will know how to adapt it, because it is through applied research and through upward thinking. But for the time being, nobody has talked about it, because we are actually into debts and what is going on with our economy and the political problematics. But we really need to put our minds together and bring in a think tank, as per now, in my own opinion, in my humble opinion. Because the other things that we are doing, yes, we are doing it for now, but nobody is thinking about the future, and we have to think about the future. Without the future, this European, because as per now we have invited Adani, next year we are going to be there will be an European trade something which is going to come in the month of either January or February, and then they are coming in knowing that they have been chased away from the West. So they are coming also to look how they are going to penetrate through the East to go to the West. You also have to know Kenya is a pilot country. This one, I will never stop saying it. Kenya is a pilot. Anything that is coming from outside Kenya, from all the northern countries, it has to pass through Kenya. Why? Because Kenya is opening the Eastern Africa. Nigeria is opening the Western Africa. South Africa, the South, and Egypt is the North. So we cannot move on pretending that this thing, it will not affect us in 5 years, in 10 years. Right now, we're already being affected, and it is just a small thing. It's just a small resistance that Ruto has put in and just has pressured it. The pressure is small. Until Adani starts making the big noise, that's the time we are going to really cry. So we have to embrace that discomfort, if we like it or not. But from there on, put the pressure by thinking outside the box and bringing the real conflict with them head to head, like we say, tete-a-tete. This is what you are preparing for us, yes, but we want this, and that will be my.
Thank you very much.
That will be my ending part. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Wangoi. Thanks for your thoughts there. General, you want to have the microphone?
Yes, thank you very much for the chance. So me, I'll also be very brief, but I just want to talk about some few factors that will make us have a movement, be strong and move forward as a team. So one thing we need to have, let's just have as per now, we have not achieved what we want. So because we have not achieved what we want right now, let us just remain united and fight one common goal, a way of removing these people from power. That is the most important thing. So let us be united. Me, I'm seeing if you go left and center, you find people screaming, yapping loudly. This is not the right moment to claim that we own this thing. This is not the time to claim. This is not the time to show the scars that you have on your body, because we have not even reached the mountain top. We are heading there. So as we head there, let us just embrace unity. Let us speak one language, because this is only the opposition. We don't have opposition right now in Kenya. The only opposition we have right now in Kenya is this X-Space. where we get information and we relay them to the ground and putting government on toes. So let's just be have a purpose. Like let's fight this move. Let's be in this movement with a purpose. Like if it is Adani, we know there's a case in court that is upcoming. Let's go there as a team and show the whole nation that we are rejecting this thing. If the issue of Shiv also comes, we will also camp at the parliament building to prove to those MPs that we are not satisfied by this stuff because this crap is not favoring a normal mwananchi. So I'll just end on that unity. And the second thing, let's purpose as this upper part of the experts, which I always like because this is where we get the good information, the right information from different people who are skilled from different professions. So now we should carry ourselves. But we have the larger population. I'm not saying people are not much educated in Kenya, but we need thorough civic education. If youths can be told to turn to the CBD when the wrong bill is being passed and youths appear there in good numbers, it's something showing that we are moving forward. But as per now, we have a divided house where you find the youth, the young people should be rising up to fighting these things, and some of them are not even aware. So it is high time we also create a bridge of reaching them out. These youth that instead of going to the parliament building to fight for their rights, they can crowd the whole CBD the whole day waiting for the launching of a matatu or waiting for the launching of Anganya. And you see very, very many youths who are jobless, who are seeking employment, but have misadvised, they have misplaced opinions and they have misplaced objectives. So let's be objective. Let's move to the ground. Let's move to those Bungela Wananchi on the ground. Let's move to Jacaranda. The story there will not be about Raila and Ruto every time. Let's reach there, take those grounds, educate people so that we can move as a team, because this is a very long journey. I'm telling you guys, not all of us will make it as we believe. Not all, some of us will be bought, some of us will disappear, but the rest of us who stand here, let's stand by this movement. Don't get tired. Don't get scared. Don't be discouraged by someone telling you that the president is tactical. If he's tactical, and in this space only here, we are almost 300. There are brains here. And if these brains, we bring them together, we can be able to bring this government down. So me, I just want to give a message of hope. Let us be optimistic that it can. We can do it. It is possible. And yes, we can. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Tevin. I'm just going to speak shortly. Tevin, I've seen your hand. You're going to give a chance to speak, but let me say a couple of things before I invite Abdi as well. I mean, Abdi said something that I should have commented on earlier, but I did not. Those of us who grew up in the 90s in Kenya knew of someone called Bishop Henry Okulu, who said the church and the politics go together. The place of the religious economy in terms of constructing the politics of Kenya has always been very fundamental. Even when, Ford, as it then was with Jaramogi, it's the imams in the mosques. If you remember, those of you who grew up in the 90s with us, it's the imams in the mosques who actually sent word for opposition, so that opposition forces started around the coast, around the northeast, and around the Garissa area. And the ACK church then was very good. Each time the church and and the mosques and the imams have spoken with the people of Kenya, we find consonance because they speak to their faithfuls each time, and the call to Muslim preachers, the imams, to the preachers, the bishops, just that nowadays there are too many churches. We need to have them focused so that at least the message goes out there in terms of the change that Kenyans desire. Someone just wrote a comment that Kenya is hopeless. No, Kenya is not hopeless. The things that are happening are supposed to happen for purposes of growth. The only thing we need to do is that we need to midwife this birth in the way for the Kenya that we want. We have had very many false starts. We have had very many false deliveries. So I really think that we're not in a hopeless state. We are good. This movement and as Kenyans progress, we can midwife the thing that we want to see. Wangoi, on your Vision 2030, the reason why political parties, the reason why people have political parties that are strong, if you look at the US now, the elections is between the Democrats and the Republicans. If you look at China, the Chinese Communist Party, and those are nations that are prospering because they have political parties with manifestos that can be followed through and through. The Kenyan problem is a malaise of political prostitution, where, you know, in every successive election, there's a political party that wins the election, and then it quickly dies, or it marries another one, and it dies off. You know, there was Jubilee, there was PNU, there was now UDA. The next election is going to be something else. So we really need to have structured political parties with the long-term manifestos. You know, if you have a political party that has a long-term manifesto, the Chinese Communist Party is one that is a classical example. You are then able to plan government for 5, 10, 20, 30, 40 years, you know. But this one for Kenya, they came up with a program that, you know, Uhuru had this four building something. This one came up with things. You can't build a country like this. We must be deliberate that we must form political parties that are going to be long-term, long forward-looking with long-term manifestos, so that it's not just about think tanks. It's about the manifestos in the political parties and what is their strategy to bring development to the people. Kenyans are not focusing on the disease, but on the symptoms. I think we should actually focus on the cause of the disease more than the disease itself, because our institutions, the parliament right now is crazy. The judiciary, let's see how it goes in the next 2 weeks before we can give it a prescription whether it's crazy or not. Because between us right now and a rogue executive is the judiciary of Kenya. If they hold fort, then we can be saying, yes, there's one arm of government that is working correctly, the judiciary. So let's populate it with good Kenyans, intelligent Kenyans. But then this House of Parliament is crazy. So we must make sure that in the next election, whenever it happens, we hope it happens sooner than 2027, that we can then populate that particular parliament with men and women of credibility in a way that then takes the country forward. That's what I wanted to speak to. Abdi, I don't know if you want to speak or you give it to Tevin.
We go ahead to Tevin. Thank you.
Tevin, thanks. Okay, thanks.
Tevin?
Hello, everyone. So what I want to talk about is the concept of government. So in principle, government exists to serve the people, to serve and protect its people. But in the case of Kenya, you see that the government, the people in power, as in the government works to serve and protect the people in power, the corruption and the greed, while the people of Kenya just sit back and watch this for 4 years, waiting for the next election cycle. So in my view, belongs to the people, and the people, they can exercise that sovereign power directly, or they can delegate it to their representatives. So far tumekubaliana sisi wote ya kwamba our representatives wenye tuko nao represent our interests. So constitution gives you the other option of direct exercise of your power. So since June tumekuwa na hizi spaces, we have been talking, tumekuwa watu wamekuja wakienda kina Morala, but what is missing is action. Tumekuwa tukiongea but action is missing. Hatuna sustainable plan. Tunaenda na upepo, ligijie sijui nini, kitu kidogo na distract, watu wanagawanyika namna hiyo. So for us to win this fight, we have to strengthen our institutions. Unaona kama tukisema Ruto ni mbaya, ni sawa, Ruto ni mbaya, but status quo remain the same. The next leader atakuja pia atakuwa corrupt, pia atatumia institutions for his own gains. So we should focus on strengthening the institutions that we have, especially parliament. Parliament ndio kila kitu. Executive, kama parliament is a state institution, vitu kwa executive haziwezi fanyika bila approval za parliament. Every bill zinafaa kupita parliament, but pia kwa kila bill inapita parliament, there should be public participation. So the people have to be involved in every bill that goes through the parliament. But in Kenya, sisi tuko na hiyo right, but we are not given that right ya ku decide what should be done in those bills. Unapata MPs wananunuliwa, wanavote vile wanataka, hakuna consequence, hakuna accountability. So the only way we can chukua hii power from them, as in juu tumewapatia the all absolute power. Hizi miaka 4 katikati ya election cycle, the absolute power is with those people in the political class. Tunangoja hadi mwaka wa 5 ndio wanakuja kutuambia power iko na nyinyi, tuchague hivi na hivi na hivi. After kuwachagua tunawachia power yote, tunabaki powerless. Tunabaki tukienda maandamano, watu wakiwawa, then the cycle inabaki tu ile ile. Leaders kila wakati tunalia serikali imetuangusha, na hatuna uwezo, hatuna nguvu, azin power yote tushawaachia. The point I'm driving into ni kwamba we should at least take this power back from them, and the way to do that is by organizing, by having people's assembly in every ward, so that kwa kila ward people unit, mnatuma submissions zenyu to parliament, bili yote ikipita parliament, ikifika stage ya public participation, mnatuma written memorandum or submission to parliament as a ward. Mnasema kwamba mlimit on a Saturday, a certain dates, mkadiscuss the issue that is on the bill, kama ni finance bill ama kitu kama hiyo, mkadiscuss, mkaona kwamba hii bill hakuna kitu inawaletea kwa ward yenu, mkadecide ya kwamba ni no, mkasema taxes ni juu, mkaweka no ama mkaweka yes. Mkiwa na hiyo written memorandum submission to parliament, recognized as a formal meeting of the people, ukiwa na hiyo letter, hata huyo MP wako akienda kuvote no, wakati tunaenda kotini tunasema kwamba there is evidence that we said this bill, we are against this bill, three wards in this constituency that a certain MP represents. So hiyo vote yake people, that's how it should work. Hivyo ndio tunaweza chukua our power back, hivyo ndio tunaweza put the parliament on a leash, hivyo ndio tunaweza hold them accountable. MP kila wiki MP anafaa kuvisit his ward constituency, that's in the wanalipoga hizo mileage claims, hizo car maintenance, ndio kila wiki aende kwa constituency yake, asikize wananchi wake, arudi parliament, avote vile ameambiwa. But Kenya hiyo work namna hiyo, anakuja tu huko chini, anakuja constituency level, anaenda anahudumiya watu nyama.
Like to say is that these MPs, they have just failed us, because we have been asking them to support us in parliament, so that the bills which are not saving the normal Kenyans or the Kenyans cannot be passed. But now I can see them, they are putting day and night so that we cannot be saved, because they are getting a lot of money to make themselves rich. So, ladies and gentlemen, let us be wise next election. We should not vote for the leader who only needs the money to make himself rich. Let's be very wise also when voting. Please, I beg you guys. You can see now the airport. We are hearing a story that the airport is gone. We can hear that there is an electricity deal which is there. We, as many people who have the engineering knowledge of it, we are very rich. We have many rich Kenyans who can have that tender, and our people can get job there. So let's be very wise, and please, my people, also let's pray for this nation. This country is ours. Let's pray for it. Let's pray for our leaders. Let's pray that even the president himself will have will have a sense of honor and understand that Rigadi also campaigned for him, so that they can become one thing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, Leonard, do you want the microphone? Leonard.
Yes, please.
Please, you have 3 minutes. Okay. Are you in a noisy place? Are you able to speak, or you're not?
I'm in
okay.
I'm able to speak.
Okay,
yes,
we can't hear you, John.
I was saying, let's own this country. Let's build this country. Kenya is ours. Kenya is ours. Let's build Kenya. Let's pray for the Kenya. Kenya requires our prayers. And if we pray for this country, this country can move forward. Let's pray for our MPs. If your MP is not doing what is expected of him, don't shout at him or her. Just wait 2027 and replace with someone who is thinking enough, who can think for you people, and who can make a good advised decisions for you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Leonard. Thanks for the advice. John, you want to have the microphone? John, or
I turn off.
Oh, thank you,
All right. John Okanda.
Thank you, Neto. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, I want to echo suggestions by General and Telvin that we should be united and we should have sustainable plans. At the moment, there are so many groups that all of the groups purporting to be fighting Ruto. You see, there is Marara this side, there is Makuure somewhere, there's Boniface Mwangi. There are so many groups. So usually you see when a dictator, like even Moi, the tactics he used to do is to divide and rule. When you are divided, he can easily manage you. But if you are united, you can fight and you can sustain a fight. But when you are divided, it's so easy to manage. And my suggestion on how we can deal with Ruto, because he seems to be very ruthless, is to deal with the MPs. You know, our biggest problem is our MPs, because they are bought, so they easily pass anything and everything that goes to their parliament. So they are the easiest ones we can deal with. We have their homes are in Nairobi. Most of them live in Nairobi and in the rural areas. So if we deal with them at both Nairobi homes and their rural homes, then we can manage them. So once we put fear in them, then they'll not just pass anything that the president throws at them. So if we manage them, even if a dog is barking at you and you can't reach the owner, shoot the dog, then the owner will come out. So if we get the MPs, if we manage the MPs, I think then Ruto will fear. At the moment, he thinks we can't reach him, and it's very bold, and it's kidnapping and doing everything because the MPs will not talk about it. So to end, I think just suggesting that we find a way, a sustainable way of dealing with the MPs, and that way we'll reach their boss. Thank you.
Thank you very much, John. Samuel, you want to say something?
Kwa sahi
Asante. Nafikiri tayari umeongea. Collins, I see your hand up. Please go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Give me 100 if you can hear me. So thanks so much for the platform, NATO. And I've had a few of comrades speak. And for me, it's a sad day. Let me start by, because I was at Uhurupark in the morning. For me, it's a sad day that we are going back to the police state. And the church is somehow quiet, but I'm happy that the church is awakening. Having watched the trending video of Pastor, is it Teresia? It's a blessing that is actually happening now. And someone also said that we should create a think tank to think, because we're not short of ideas of all these people who are actually in the group now, almost 135 people. We're not short of ideas of what to do. Because if they're now smart, the government, Mali Mefika, they know that they've lost in courts of public opinion, and their only weapon is now to use the police and the military to suppress us. And I don't advocate for this thing of fighting Morara, fighting Kasmuel or anybody. Like, just do your part. Do the little part that you're able to do as a citizen. Okay? Do the little part that you're able to do, having in mind that the goal is to leave Kenya better than you found it. For when history would judge, ask yourself, how would history judge you? Would it judge you harshly, or would it judge you with kind? Be the part, just as someone said, the likes of Bishop Okulu, Reverend Timothy Njoya. You see, those were days when a church would speak truth to power. Gone are the days, because the church has been turned into a brown envelope church. It's like just the same way when someone owes you money, when someone gives you money, let's say 10,000, and then later, when they give you, someone gives you 10,000, and then later maybe you find them doing something wrong, you're indebted to them. So that is where the church is. The church that used to be there never used to bribe. You take maybe your chicken to pastor, and willingly. You see, that's the church that I used to know, but not this church that goes to State House and then they're given money, and then now they're indebted to State House in such a way that they can't speak truth to the church, to power. And it's sad if there's any member of a church who is here and your pastor is there, please just tell them that they are feeding a monster. They're feeding by them not speaking about the ills of the government. They are feeding a monster that very soon would bite them. And it started biting them by also trying to censor them, bill that they had passed. You see, that's a way of the government trying to censor the church so that the church would play into their tune. And this is something that the church actually brought to them. Allow me say this, because my activism is in line with civic education, that church should allocate 20 minutes of civic education during their time, their preaching time, to educate vulnerable citizens on the importance of civic education, on ethical voting, that is, because there is a lot that happens. Politicians go to vulnerable citizens and they corrupt their mind with promises and things that actually can't work, and promises like building houses on the air, which they know very well that can't work, and citizens actually vote for that. And this is courtesy of the church, because politicians don't go to these churches where people are smart and all that, like in Runda, Karen and all that. They go to slums like Mukuru. They go to slums like Kibra. That is where they actually infiltrate, corrupt the minds, and then people vote them because they know those people are vulnerable. And then I also come from that school of thought that believes that poverty is actually made. It's a machine made so that you sing politicians' song, you sing to what they have to say. Yesterday we were in Kibra, and I pray that people go to Kibra and realize the kind of life that politicians actually given their constituents. Back to what is the way forward? The way forward is, let's not lose focus. Let's strive with the little that you're doing. Every little piece that everybody's doing, it counts. So let's not condemn others. Everybody should play their part, and the goal is to make Kenya better. I land there. Thank you, Neto.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the thought and the way forward. We're honestly very grateful. Screamer, you want to have the microphone? Screamer, do you have the microphone? Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Okay, please go ahead. You have 3 minutes. Yes, we can hear you. 3 minutes.
Okay, thanks for the opportunity. I'm going to be brief because I don't want to repeat what other people have said.
Okay.
First of all, let me thank you, the host and the host, for the theme, charting the way forward. Because when I came here on X in the evening, early in the evening, naona watu wengine wanadiscusia, anyway, seti na laumu mtu ama nakata, kila mtu na nini yake, lakini you know, the problem with we Kenyans, we focus on the symptoms, not the disease itself. We minor on majors and major on minors instead of discussing what is the way forward. Ni nini dawa ya matatizo ambayo tuko nazo. Kwa mfano leo kama nilivyosema, nilikadhabishwa, nimeingia social media hapa, napata watu wana discuss about Man City, vijana wenzangu, wengine wana discuss about the issue of Kashagwa. Sasa itatusaidia nini shwali? Let us be honest, the problem with us youth, we don't speak in one voice. Kama tungekuwa tunazungumza in one voice, tungekuwa reform na kuleta revolution kwa nchi. Kitu inatuharibu sisi is tribalism and worshipping politicians. Kama vijana tungeamua Kenya mzima kwamba, because the only voice that a government listens, the only language that a government understands is demonstration. Kama sisi wote vijana tungekuwa tunaamua Kenya mzima, twende tu tufanye ile peaceful demonstration, exercising our democratic duty, because it is ensuring in our constitution. Sete ni kitu yenye tumeviolate katiba, so tungejitokeza kwa kila town vijana wote na twende barabara. Hao watu wangejua kweli sisi hatutaki mchezo. We are no longer condoning their behavior of mismanaging this country. The problem with our country is bad governance and leadership. Unaona sasa viongozi, they are after their selfish interest, and that's why to unite na ku speak in one voice as youth, hao watu wataendelea kutunyanyaza, hatutakuwa na future. Enyewe tulipigia kura hii serikali, mimi sikupigia, nasema majority walipiga, lakini hiyo ishafanyika. Lakini sasa what is the solution? Juu tutashinda hapa kwa space tukiongea mpaka 2035, hata tutazeeka bado tukiwa kwa space, lakini hakuna actions. Can we walk the talk? Then there is something I want.
Give us a proposal. Freeman, give us a proposal. What's the way forward? What's your proposal as the way forward?
The way forward is this. Actions. One, ni kwenda kwa barabara. Peaceful demonstration. Nchi mzima. Peaceful demonstration actions. Number 2, electing leaders ambao ni vijana wenye at least wana understand issues affecting the common mwananchi. Not these people who they retire CEOs wakiwa directors, unashindwa why anataka kiti cha a political seat. Hiyo ndio itakuwa solution. Solution si kuomba. I had somebody saying let us pray for our leaders. You pray for a leader who is torturing us now, who is abducting leaders, innocent Kenyans. No, not at all. Alafu
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Freeman. We heard you. Peaceful demos across the entire country and electing youthful leaders with a bit of focus. Just as you want to pick it up from there? Just as
yes, thank you. Yes, I do agree with Freeman on the basis of not praying but engaging on concrete matters that can render the solution that we desire. Because those who are praying, the good book says in Proverbs 28:4, those who forsake the law pray for the wicked, but those who uphold the law bring them down. So even the good book has given us directions on whether to pray with them or what action should we do. If they are wicked, then we bring them down. But we'll know they are wicked when another one says in Proverbs 29 that when the wicked are in authority, people mourn. But when the righteous are in authority, people rejoice. And by their fruits, we can tell everyone is mourning in the country. And yes, we must now, by all means, as we go, it's time to hit the spider at the center of the web. However much we discussed and talk, if we did not hit it right where it belongs, then we can still also remain on vicious circles in going round and round with no solutions. But if we hit it at the point, right at the center, it will be very easy for us to go to the root and see functional solutions. The end game, either two ways. One is form the next government. That's one end game. And to form the next government, you can either form it through the people before 2025, or we can form it in 2027 as per the constitutional timeline. Either way, for us to attain those solutions or those objectives, we must engage then concretely in the process. One, I've always advised that leadership is not an event, it's a process. And this process, sometimes Ecclesiastes 9:17 says, the words of the wise heard in quiet are better than the shouting of a ruler among the fools. And wisdom is better than weapons of war, but one sinner destroys much. Yes, so sometimes this are achieved quietly through wisdom. We may not be shouting that we are the leaders of Gen Z. And let me tell you, as Milton said, revolution is never televised. Because definitely, as Milton said, they will never give us the audience. And if you see them giving audience straight away, it is the indication of you that is a pseudo guy, that is their man. When you see them cover a guy in the process of revolution, Ujue Uyo, that is not the one. You should not even run there, even as they are prophesying during the last time. But what should we do? Through wisdom as we gather, we are able to identify with the functional directions that can give us the desired results. And yes, somebody, I think it's Abdi. Abdi, you advise that we must, it's imperative that you work with a religious organization or spiritual foundation, if I may put it correctly, because spirituality has been outstanding. Believer is Christian party in Germany, and look at the revolution they brought. They brought us even the German machine. Is these liberals who are messing it up? Even this current United States of America in 18th century, it was founded by the Puritans, devout monarchs who studied the scriptures, and their values are standing to date if you actually look at the Declaration of the Independence. China, when it closed itself from the Western War, which was Opium War, they restored back their value structures. And now these are the things that we cannot actually move without. Even when we're talking about next government, we must talk about solutions that are going to render and enhance this character formation and proper ethics that we lead, we are desirous of. Because when talking about integrity in this country, we have leaders who are very quick to sacrifice you instead of serving you. Instead of filling citizens, they are fleecing you outrightly. And you're looking for justice in their hands. Yes, their hands are full of blood. You can see. It's all over. And their pockets are swelling with the loot. And they don't care. They are spewing it all in our face. This is not the leaders we decide. There's no integrity at all. When you're talking about integrity, even if you go to the courts, it is not there. Yeah, so, way forward, we need to then engage concretely in the political process. Through activism must be tailor-made with advocacy. Advocacy means we must also engage with the institutions that are rendering these solutions. We must be in the government. So when I see NATO here, when I see Daktari, I see the convergence of all of us here. To me, I get hope. And those who are thinking that there is no hope, I'm telling you, we've come very, very far. We are right at the mountaintop. Of course, we've suffered. We've lost lives. We've been shot. We've all gone through what we're going through. But there is a hope. Right at the mountaintop, we can see the frustration of our enemies. They are divided among themselves, which is our advantage. And let them continue bleeding themselves. But as they bleed themselves, I think then now is a high time, as I said earlier, that we hit the spider at the center. We need to start structuring this government. And when you're talking about formation of the government, even if the IBC is instituted right now and we start recalling these MPs, who is going to vie where? We need to put all those measures in place. And we will need political parties, as we've said. I don't need to, you're a leader of a political party, so am I. And if we can start coalescing in direction with a like-minded political party, as we are cautious not to put the new wine in old wine skin. All those traditions that actually have taken us down this road, we cannot afford to go back there. And as we do that, make sure that we have an MP in every constituency, 290 of them, an MCA in 1,440 wards. We must get governors in the 47 counties, plus senators and women rep. Where are they going to come from? Those are the structures we should be focusing on, so that when somebody said that ukiona vimeunda vinalea, is because we have grassroots connection that we are mobilizing towards. When you're mobilizing towards what? All those bunges, if you leave them open there, discussing relatively without a direction, these people will come and pour money there, and they take that bunge and use it for purposes that was not intended. But if you structure right now around a coalition of political party or around a political party, you are certain that you will be gathering towards that MCA to make him an MCA. You'll be gathering around that MP to make him an MP. You'll be gathering around that governor. And those are the actually activities that we now should concretely be spending more efforts on as we fundraise. We also have brothers who cannot be here. And as the fundraise, not everybody is going to be MP, MCAs, and governors. Some are going to serve in the cabinets. Some have various different strengths. And I think those are where this ideology should be driven, to see how we are going to transform our education system, to inculcate values and character formation instead of just passing exams only or academia. We should also look at how we can revitalize our economy. And that is where now our individuals or partners in the diaspora can help us with programs that are functional, that are working, things that can be borrowed, and how to, ride with the technology. There are a number of things that we can cooperate, but only if we are moving in the right direction. But remember,
Thank you,
it is
Party
supposed.
Leader. Thank you, Party Leader. You have to land now. Thank you very much. And Anne Kangede, you have the microphone.
I think she dropped.
And she's back again. Anne, are you on the microphone? Okay. As Anne tries to connect Pig Bin. Is that Pig Bin? Is that the correct name?
Yes, greetings.
Greetings, Pig Bin.
Yeah, thank you. I'm back again. I was here initially, and it's a pleasure to see you, Brother Neto. I saw you sometimes when I was still young. But yeah, so there's lack of what you call unity of purpose. If I can recall, and I said this, when we were around 50 of us wanting to be a president during the last elections, and when we were disqualified unfairly with the IBC, which we follow the cases in the court until IBC declared that either the ID copies that they were putting on us was unconstitutional, which meant that then the election process of verifying these candidates who stood for election 2022 was unconstitutional. Basically, we were having illegal candidates. Now, what happened is that IBC actually requested for a stay order, which then allowed them to continue the so-called 4 people that declared for election. But then we asked amongst those other candidates, we were together with Jimmy, Okot, Ruben, and so many of them. And the question is, how do we then form a united team as early as now, then can ensure that the people are aware. Of course, personally, I wanted even to lead an anti-election campaign prior to election because I'd known the system was already faulted. But then we said, then how can we then active leaders who wanted to be alternative leaders in this country, how can we unite and be the alternative to push these changes in the streets physically? We thought of we could have a unity on that. But then people had their own interests in between. Some said, okay, now that we are out, let me go vote so, let me go vote so, let me go vote so and so. I said, basically, I cannot actually sanitize an already a flawed process. But because we fail at that particular moment to go beyond our ego of who is the best or who should be the president, and the rest, we were unable to form a formidable team of a strong opposition that could then keep the government on toes. Basically, ideas like how could we even move to the street physically to teach the people and keep this government accountable. Unfortunately, some of us ended up going in our own direction after that. And today, we are here suffering, you see? And suffering in the process that even those who wanted to be alternative forgot about them being alternative. And maybe some can say, like most of us, retrieved to reorganize and strategize. But the key problem is always one thing. And I believe in it. The government is so big to accommodate all of us. Only if we are ready to forgo our ego and work on the goal we want for the people. But as long as it must be you or me and the rest, that's how we are going to make it fall on their trap. So today you see every young person is trying to do their part. It's very important. Everybody play their part. I've said I'm doing my own civic education, public matatus, preparing booklets and share to the people revolutionary messages because personally, my education is on the mind, emancipating the mind of the people because I know that is the greatest tool. So we must agree that everybody must be part of this and everybody will play their part. Those who can hold Twitter space must come in and help us. Those who can do physical mobilization must do that. Those who have the resources to come in, let them come. The revolution requires more than a party. It requires a movement. And the movement of what you call positive action or the progressive forces. If we are not ready to go to that extent of combining the progressive forces together for a movement that is beyond a political party, that brings on organization, movements, political parties, and everybody else, we might not be able to salvage our people and ourselves out of this. And as I'm saying again, we must actually realize that the people we are dealing with are not enemy. This government is not only the enemy of anybody else in this country. Ruto's presidency is the enemy of all African and black people across the globe because the agenda is basically to advance the agenda of the new or the former colonial masters. So we must be very tactical and we must ensure that everybody play their part. Not everybody must play one part, but if they can, let's agree because at the end of the day, if we save ourselves out of Ruto, everybody will enjoy, no matter who will be where and where. So that's my still plea to so many of us here. Let's agree to do what we can. If you are able to do the posters, do it. Do it diligently, as that is the contribution you can give to this struggle. The Mau did their best. So how can we do that? If you are ready to either pray for us, go and pray for us. If you are ready to give the hires, the cars, do it. But at the end of the day, be part of the movement and do something that you'll be proud of that I did it for my country. That's what I can say.
Thank you very much, Pig Ben. That beautiful call to action. Redemptor, you want to have the microphone?
Oh, that fast. Good evening, everyone. I think I just want to do a rundown on the day's events because we are talking about the political uncertainty. I want to keep it to the human side of the events of today and what I saw. I walked through the streets to be the eyes for someone like Rosemary, who is far away from home and who's been in the media practitioner. And so my journey starts at GPO, where tear gas is thrown on the side of GPO, the first tear gas. And what did I see in the streets of Nairobi today? Mainly Kenyatta Avenue, Mwindimbingu Street, Koinange Street, and the police station. I saw, as those who haven't been in the country for a long time, they changed to Kenyatta Avenue, so there are walkways, they have cab walks, and what happens, they have these street photographers. People come on Sundays with families to take pictures, to dance in the streets, groups are dancing. But what I noticed was the young men in black. black trousers, black t-shirts, even black, very neat shirts worn. It was the age of those people that I was observing. They were very, very young. They were Gen Zs. And I even interviewed some of them. The second tear gas was lobbied at the GPO now on this other side. And what was happening is as soon as you saw 3 people dressed in black, there was a lot of black people dressed in black today, they would lobby tear gas. There was a few people running. So I didn't get to go to Uhurupark itself because I had gotten word in the morning that they were dispersing people. They were questioning people who are dressed in black. But it's the hope that I want to share, not even all the political, because I want to talk about our humanity as the young people who are looking up to us for the conversations. I met a young man. I decided to engage him. I tried a few people. When the tear gas was lobbied, and I just have to share this part of our Kenyan spirit. When tear gas was lobbied, and the people in border borders were trying to cover their mouths, this man and I think his girlfriend quickly bought a bottle of water from a vendor. They washed their faces and quickly gave me the bottle. I mean, I was really touched by the gesture. And I think this is what was happening in June. So they asked me to wash my face, and I asked them, were you going for the memorial? They said they were, but now they've been dispersed. And the man showed a middle finger, just very expressive people. And then I tried to talk to everyone who was in black. Were you going for the memorial? So finally I found this young man, and he told me, I told him, so how many times have you been out in the streets? And he said every time. And he's a lawyer, he's a student. And very quickly, as we were engaging, I was interested in his story. He told me my friend has been arrested. And I said, can I go with you? So we went to the central police station. We were chased from the central police station, but we stood at the bridge, and we tried to mobilize to find out who was there. A policeman chased us away from there. And then policemen came in a Land Rover, and they wagged their fingers at us, and they seemed to know the young man. And one of them told us, Wewe si Morara Kebaso, and with contempt threw a cup of chupa at us. And we spent the next few hours, and we had to part ways. And the young man, coincidentally, I don't believe in coincidences, when I asked him his name is my father's name. So I spent the day walking the streets, interviewing young people, and they are very aware of what's going on in the country. The Gen Alphas were dancing in the streets, and they were dancing songs like Kufa Derefa, Kufa Makanga, and I had to leave town at around 5 p.m. I give this rundown to just tell you the mood is not sometimes what you will. One last story. I told the young man that I'm a freelancer and that I document what goes on in my country. And he said his life was saved by a freelancer journalist in June. I said, can I record you telling that story? He was not very keen, but he said he's been looking for that person who saved his life. He said when they pointed a gun at him on June 25th, he froze. And then the freelancer journalists pulled out his camera and said, I'm recording them. And the policemen stopped what they were planning to do. Now, the fact that these people have seen all these things in June and they're still willing to come to the streets should tell you, even as we have this conversation in these spaces, feeling like people are not organized, it will never have momentum and all that. The resilience in the Kenyan spirit, the idea that they can share with an older woman a bottle of water, they can have discussions about what they think about the players. What do you think about this person? What do you think happened to this young person? And they said, we are discovering we in as much as we think a young person will save us, we have an issue of it being easy to be compromised. So Nairobi was interesting today because there was a resolve. You could see if Uhurupark had been open, there would have been at least thousands of people there to honor the people who have gone fighting for their country. So I finished by saying we focus too much on the political when we have these discussions. We forget the social. What's going on in the social fabric? The mothers of those 3 girls who are dancing the streets, because there are many, many young people dancing the streets. They were eager and they said, make our children go viral. And it was interesting, the song they were dancing to. And I was like, are they aware what's going on around them? And I was left wondering what percentage of a critical mass does a country need to say that we need help? And the young lawyer told me, I can't wait to be a lawyer. And I can't talk about justice when there's no justice in my country. I can't practice justice when there's no justice in my country. I mean, it's an exhausting day. But I just want to say, for those who are far away from home, for those who talk political and forget we are human beings, that people feel it so deeply. They remember everything that happened in June. And like they keep saying, it's a lull, it's not over. Just the idea that you can pour so many police in the streets on a Sunday. I saw a child cry because of tear gas. Some mothers didn't know there was going to be tear gas in Uhurupark, so they were going to take their families. I mean, I'm just telling you to do with this information whatever story, if you're creative, whatever story you'd make out of it. How was Nairobi on Mashujaa Day? Who are the Mashujaas? Is the Kenyans who are very quiet and calm, but there's a storm brewing in their hearts about everything they see, everything they hear. And it was a day of honoring Shujaas, and we ended up having people apologizing for everything that has gone on and talking and pretending. And I finished with the speech by the Vice President, and I'm not going to apologize for what I'm about to say, that they want us to feel sorry for them. The Deputy President's wife was there looking miserable and crying. But when she received the money allocated to her office that was not supposed to be in her office, when traffic jams were being stopped for her to pass, did she know how people were suffering in this country because of money that is supposed to serve us was serving her and her family? So I hope we don't always focus on the political. We also focus on the human side, the lived experiences of all these people. And everyone is supporting, whether you're near or far, supporting that there has to be change in this Kenya. Hillary, I'm talking like a radio, and I think that's all I have to submit, that it is truly a luta continua, and this belongs to the young people, but all we can do is support them. And yes, we have to go back to tribeless. Asanteni.
Thank you very much, Redempta, for documenting the struggle for those people who are far away. That's really, really good. Thank you very much. Collins, you have the microphone?
No, I don't want to have the microphone. Maybe I'll contribute later, but thanks.
Dr. Milton?
I just feel touched by what Redempta has shared. And I think indeed it is very refreshing to know that Kenyans are still as determined as they have been. And it is not all lost. Nothing is lost. The Kenyan people are still keen on holding this government accountable. And it is, I have no doubt in my mind that it is not a question of whether, if, or something like that. It is a question of when the Kenyan people come out. And I think it is encouraging and refreshing to hear our people speak like they're doing. I want to leave it at that, Mheshimiwa. Let's hear more people if there are people still on waiting for the mic.
Thank you very much. Abdi, I'm going to give you the microphone, but before I give you the microphone, I think I liked a couple of things that Justice and a few other people said, that we have to hit the spider in the middle of the web. And having hit the spider in the middle of the web, that's the only way Kenya avoids going into a vicious cycle. So I really think that was something that I really I'd like to echo. Someone was complaining that people came to the space to talk about Man U or some other sports. There's nothing wrong with talking about Man U or even Harambee Stars or even AFC Leopards or Gor Mahia, if that is what is going to give you mental peace to look forward to another day. So we really need to support each other. Like Redempta just said, let's look at the social and the political. So whatever can make Kenyans for right now have heart's ease, and let's support them in that particular way. The divide and rule tactics of the politicians have been used before, but it is something that we can deal with. We must coalesce, and when we coalesce, there's not so much they will do. And even in divide and rule tactics, some of the fake ones will fall by the wayside, and this has been happening since the struggle of the 1990, the multi-party for resilience stuff. The people who are fake will fall by the wayside, so you don't even have to worry. We have the few who are consistent, who are valiant, have to keep going. So divide and rule, you cannot divide the people who are determined. You cannot divide the people who have the resilience and the goodwill to move forward. We must keep organizing. Politics is about organizing. Politics is soft war. You must have infantry. You must have foot soldiers. You must have the people with the supplies. You must look at strategic military objectives. Politics is not random. Politics has to be organized. So even as we speak here, let everyone else do their part. Let everyone else know what they can do best, and that is part of the organizing that we are speaking to. Thanks, Redemptor, for confirming that the national anger is palpable. Kenyans are very angry, and Kenyans are very angry in a way that it will shock the system. So I really think that June 25th proved that it is possible to do very many things in Kenya, and something major, I think, is going to happen. And we once want to thank Rigiji and William Ruto for fighting, and it's good. Now let him say everything. After he said everything else, then it will be easy to help us get them home. But there is hope, good people. I really think that the resilience of the young people in Kenya, we have failed in the parts of that we're not structurally organized in a proper way in terms of providing leadership to help deliver this particular movement into the path that we want. But I think time is going to come, and in due course. So let's keep engaging, and in the next couple of weeks, I really think that something must give in. That's my thought. But Abdi, you want to say something else?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I think there was David who wanted to speak, but he dropped. But I see his text is in regards to the Kwame Nkrumah book on neocolonialism. I think he talked about the last stages of imperialism, where he warns of dangers of economic political dependence on foreign powers even after achieving independence. I think this analysis, I agree with James, it resonates well deeply with Kenya's current struggle, particularly in the face of the external debt, multinational corporate controls, foreign aid dependencies, and the constraints on Kenyan sovereignty. I think the economic hardship and the influence of global finance institutions like IMF, World Bank reflects Nkrumah's idea of neocolonialism, where control is exercised not through direct governance, but through economic leverages, through proxies like Adani. I think in Kenyan context, we are witnessing the re-emergence of external control over key sectors of our economy, including infrastructure projects, political decision-making that undermines our self-determination and economic independence, perpetuating a cycle of dependency that Nkrumah warned against, I think. As a country, we must critically examine these dynamics, advocate for policies that prioritize Kenyan interests, promote self-sufficiency, and reduce foreign entities like Adani. I think also Nkrumah reminds us that true independence cannot be achieved without economic sovereignty, and that we must resist all modern forms of exploitations discussed as development or aid or investment. Kenya is at crossroad for sure, and the decision we make now will determine whether we continue on the path of external dependence or carve out a future of true independence and prosperity. That was my addition from the points from David. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I see some two last people here want to speak, but I also want to give it to Hilary at some point. But Hannah, so that at least we make it very, we balance the ladies' voices. Hannah, you want to speak?
Yes, thank you very much, Hilary. Barikani, long time. Neto, thank you for the mic, Abdi, and everybody else on the platform, the audience, the speakers, Hamujambo, wherever you are, whatever time it is for you. To be honest, for me, it's realization and a moment of being proud to be Kenya. Rosemary, I can see you down there. To be proud Kenyan. It looks really difficult, whatever we've achieved. Who knew? Struggles have come in many forms and shapes. They've died down, they've picked up, died down. But who knew that this generation, or the young people of Kenya, from back of a financial bill would lead to this huge task that is actually being chipped off day by day, bit by bit. Who knew this would awaken everything, to this point? For me, a lot of people seem maybe not to feel that they've achieved anything, to feel that what have we achieved? But for me, to be honest, if anything, it has awoken every person, every young person, and everybody else. It has created a nation of collective responsibility, which is something that some nations struggle to achieve for decades and decades and decades. Today, you've got young people who are more interested looking, and a beautiful thing that came out of this is young people decided to translate the financial bill into a language that anybody could understand, getting people engaged in their own interest and in their nations. And at such young age, to be honest, it's an envy that a lot of African nations or Western nations would wish for. It's very difficult. They spend a lot of money, spend a lot of things to get the young people to engage into their national affairs. For me, Kenyan is, as a Kenyan, I think we've spearheaded and we're pioneers in getting this done. Removing the chains, financial chains. It might take a long time, but I want to say kudos to every Kenyan, every young Kenyan, and I think you've achieved a lot. Do not despair. You've achieved something that the generations and generations before and many African nations have not achieved. So for me, I just wanted to say that, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Hannah, for the kind words. General China too. You want to speak?
Yes, I just had a point of concern. I've just followed the conversation. It's a good conversation. Now we articulate how everything happened and things that should be done. But my worry is that today being a Mashujaa Day, there are our comrades who left houses in the morning when they were going for that function that was supposed to happen at Uhurupark. And as things stand by now, there are many of our comrades who have been held in the police station, most probably Kamkunji police station. That was the center, that was the epitome of arrest today. They were arresting people and taking to Kamkunji police station. So how do we work on the follow-up of our comrades who have been arrested during the time of fight? Because this is what, if you have learned of late, has made the numbers to decrease in the streets. Like people feel like I can be arrested. The movement is not even doing a follow-up of where we are. So there are very many comrades. Some of them are always here on space. We don't know their whereabouts up to now. I don't know if there's a structured follow-up or now we are going to trace our comrades, because that one is also a big concern, because as a family, when we retreat back to the house, we should be concerned of where is the elder son, where is the second born? Like we should be concerned, like where are our brothers and sisters? So I think there's a follow-up that is going on for the comrades. Most of them are detained at Kamkunji police station, so that we can see now those people can be out, because if we leave them by themselves, they will feel like they just go out there by themselves and we call ourselves a movement, but when the time of problem comes, no one comes to their aid. So let us also work on that. And the last one also, let us not be carried on by these shenanigans of this deputy president and the wife crying. Me, I can't sympathize to them, because the wife herself today is crying, and she can't feel for the Kenyans. Funga stage ya Karen. There's a stage in Bomas that was just closed because the deputy president's wife was held in a jam, and they actually make people to alight from far when you are going to Bomas. So we are not sympathetic to the regime. Let them suffer as much as they can suffer, because we don't care. Thank you.
Thank you very much, General. Your point noted on... Yes.
Neto, allow me to answer General on in regards to the comrades who were arrested.
Okay.
Yes. So I understand that a few comrades were arrested from morning, and like Khalid and just some the journalists. Most of them actually been released by Punini Cashbait from the police station. And one thing that I also want to let everybody know is the police are using a new trick where they arrest you, take your phone, separate you from your phone. So like, for example, Khalid was arrested. His phone was in Kamukunji, and he was taken to this place called Kariobangi. So that is a trick they use. But to respond to General, most of the comrades have actually been released, so nobody should worry. And there are people who actually come through, even if you don't have funds, they come through to bail you out. One of the organization is Defenders Human Rights. I'll share with you NATO number so that you can also share. I don't know if it's okay. Probably I share the number publicly, but you can reach them. Have their number in your phone just in case when you go for the protest and you're arrested. Then they're able to reach. And also LSK always comes through, led by Faith and Maura Kabata. They helped me when I was detained at the Capitol Hill. They always come through. So don't be, if you're here and you feel like you're alone, you're not alone. These people actually come through for you and you bail. More so when you don't have a crime that you committed. Assembling like today when we were to assemble at Uhurupark. That was a national celebration. You had all the rights to be there. So I don't even think people who would be taken to court would be charged for anything because they were actually assembling to celebrate their heroes. There's no list that is put that these are the heroes you need to celebrate. Other people celebrate their parents, others celebrate their friends, others. As we were celebrating the 60+1 who lost their lives, who paid the ultimate price to save the country from the finance bill. So to answer General again, if I'm not wrong, all the people who were arrested today, most of them actually been bailed out. I land.
Thank you very much for that information. I'm sure that General heard you. Thanks for the update. Wangoi, you want to say something?
Yes, I wanted to talk about the think tank. I still will insist on the think tank. Why am I saying this? This is because of the debt we have in Kenya. Nobody seems to sit down in that parliament, in that government, to talk about the debts. Because every time they are paying the debt, they are saying we are paying the interest. And nobody tells us how this amount does not go down. So here is what happened. For example, when we had in France a problem with the doctors, these are essential workers that usually are very important in the government, in the well-being of a healthy country. So what did they do? They had a problem with the doctors. They had a problem with the nurses. They could not recruit these people from the schools because the thing is very expensive. So what did they do? They came up with an idea out of this think tank, and they did it in a way that it was very easy for the children, for the young people, to access these teachings, to access the schools, the education system, which was cheaper. Before, it is very expensive. And anybody can pay for it. If you have the money and you want to be a liberal doctor, you can do it. But if most of the time we find it is those who have the potential of doing it and becoming a doctor, but cannot be able to access it. So what the government did, it made sure that they go in that education free of charge. But in the contrary, they had a contract which you sign once you are in. You engage yourself to do the 7-year doctorate, the 7-year nursery, so that you can become a nurse or a pediatrician or whichever type of doctor. Then after that, you have to work in the government public sector for more than 10 to 15 years. While at it, you pay a little sum to give back to the system, to the specific system which they had created, so that they can continue building up the body, so that those who are come after you, the young ones who are younger than you, they continue coming in, and so they can have the opportunity of accessing the same. So you see, at the end of the day, we won't be having the problems that we have, whereby the nurses, the doctors and the nurses, they are always on the road and always being angry with the government because they're not being paid. We will not be having the problem of those in schools that they cannot access internship and all that. This is so. It's something so small that needs people to just sit down, think about a solution, so that you cannot burden the people on it. Yet it entails a reverse psychology, a reverse way of thinking about these people. So you see, think tank has to come in, if we like it or not. Maybe we are not going to work. It's not only the think tank by the politician for the politician. No, we can put unions in it. We can put private sector in it. We can put people, us who are interested in so many things, on who can solve these problems without going outside the country to ask for more debts. So I leave it to that. And I'll still hear what you guys have to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Wangwe. I mean, it's been great engaging and listening to all of us, various thoughts. Like, as always, this particular space always happens every Sunday from 7 o'clock to around hours like this. So every Sunday, whenever you want to feel the pulse of Kenya, and the status in terms of where Kenya is going, 7 o'clock every Sunday, that's where we are in this particular space, trying to listen to ideas and, forging common ways forward. So looking forward to hosting you. But Steve, you want to say something? Steve Amenya.
Yes, thank you everyone for giving me the opportunity. I've just got in late, so I might have missed what was already said by a lot of us here. But I am glad just to put in my thought maybe as we close. I've been thinking, I've been ruminating over this in terms of how can we make substantive progress as a movement, because at the moment, by all intents and purposes, the state has practically suspended the constitution. Like, today's protests at Uhurupark were literally shut down. They were not allowed to congregate, which is a basic right guaranteed by our constitution. And we need to continue evolving our methods of resistance and how we communicate that we're not going to take it lying down. We're going to continue fighting as a people. And I'm thinking that since Parliament has abandoned the people and has abandoned its role as for representation, we should start acting as like we are on our own. We shouldn't continue to rely on Parliament and try to push our agenda through it. Yeah, we can do that, but by and large, we should start acting like we are on our own. And one of the main things that was asked by most people during the Genz protests was, what if this government comes down? What's going to happen thereafter? We're going to have, of course, according to the constitution, we're going to have maybe the speaker taking over, or the DP, the speaker, and that order and all that. But there was also that salient question that, do we as a people have a plan B if, let's say, our plan of pushing this government out of power succeeds? Do we really have a collective of people who can be able to maybe hold power in custody as a transitional government before we are able to have elections, IEBC and all that, notwithstanding? And I've been thinking that we should start acting as a people, like we are not relying on this government anymore, theoretically speaking, but also practically so. And the way we can do that, in my thoughts, I've not really thought this out properly, but I'm just putting it out there because that's what I do sometimes, is we should have as a core group similar to what the people of Bangladesh have, which is they're called advisors. So once their movement succeeded in dethroning that government, they set up a group of advisors who are now the sort of the transitional government. But us as a people, us as a movement, we should have our own group of eminent people who are our advisors and whom in our own thinking are the government in waiting, sort of the temporary government or the transitional government in waiting. But by and large, they also play the role of advising the movement. People who have been there and done it. And I'm sure there won't be a shortage of people who are willing to put up their hands. I'm just thinking through, right from the young cadres of the movement, we have the emerging Genzs, whom you all know their names. In the civil society, we have people whom we respect, the likes of Cyprian Nyamamu, Ruben Kigame, Boniface Mwangi, Hussein Khalid. Among the economists, we have people like Kwame Owino. Among the artists, we have people like Rico Mondi, who have been in the struggle. Among the religious leaders, we have people like Archbishop Anthony Muheria, who is well respected across the board. Among professional associations, we have people like Faith Odhiambo of LSK. Among the political movement, among the political circle, we have people like Okio Mtata and Martha Karua, maybe Ekura Court, and maybe Kivita Kibwana. Just mentioning a few there. Media personalities, we have people like Mashere Gaido, who has put his hand out there and who has been fighting for the expansion of democracy in Kenya. In academia, we have people like Dr. Njoki Wamai. In the public intellectual space, we have people like PLO Lumumba, Balak Muluka, Miguna Miguna, Tony Gashoka, and others who have put their hands up and they're saying we will fight for a new Kenya. Among the social media influencers, we have people like Lynn Ngugi, who has just channeled like have a YouTube channel towards this movement. Kenyans in the diaspora, we have lots of us in the diaspora who are in support of a new Kenya, who can put our hand to this struggle. Eminent Kenyans, we have people like Chief Justice William Tunga, retired. Also, Maraga, people like even Koigi Wamwere, retired, but who has been a veteran in the struggle. So I'm just putting that out there to say that we have a pool, a very rich pool of people whom we can co-opt and form like a 7 or a 9 or 11 group of advisors. We call them advisors. An chief advisor to advise us in all spheres, in economics and everything. And then now we start tapping from their rich knowledge to continue to infuse the movement. And the first thing that should come out of that is a manifesto for the movement so that we know where we're headed. Because what happens, we keep having these movements in cyclic manner, where now before elections, we're all going to jump into bandwagons based on the coalitions of the day, and then we forget to come back again after the elections, try to reunite again and to fight again. But we should have a movement that has got both short-term and long-term goals, where we know we are fighting to bring people into parliament, and that core group will be the vanguard that is going now to push the movement forward to another cycle of elections. So I won't take more time, but I'm just putting that out there. I'm willing to be involved in my more substantive discussion towards this, and I hope this can form a basis for us advancing. Thank you so much. God bless.
Thank you very much, Steve, for the thoughts and how you propose that we should move forward. I think that's really, really kind, and these things that needs to be given consideration. So, Dr. Milton, you want to make your closing remarks?
Yeah, Neto, maybe I also agree with him on that, actually.
Okay.
I think before also we discussed, it is clear that leadership for the movement is required. I think this is for strategical reasons. I think establishing a leadership council will provide the necessary framework to unite diverse voices, foster accountability, and ensure the momentum translates into concrete change. I totally agree with the leadership council, which also we proposed earlier in our last discussion, and think that is the right way to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Abdi, for echoing the same sentiments by Steve. Thank you very much. I think we're moving towards making our closing remarks. Dr. Milton, you want to make your closing remarks?
If somebody can go as I wind up something, then I can be able to come in.
Okay.
I can do mine.
Okay. Abdi, I wanted to go before you, but it's fine. Okay, you go ahead then.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you very much. I think it's been an interesting conversation. We've had a good evening. My apologies that I joined in late, and like we've promised, next Sunday 7 o'clock we will get back here to at least see what the next ideas for moving Kenya forward. We hope by then Rigathi Gachagua will have been in or out of office through some process, and then at least we can then be able to know whether we're dealing with the driver himself, which is the most critical part as we move this process forward. I think over the next few days, we must start demanding now actively for the constitution of IEBC. I think it's very deliberate on President Ruto's part that we do not have a functional IEBC, yet the IEBC, as dysfunctional as it is, still clears his deputy president. So we must know that this country, we are not tenants. We're not tenants and someone is a landlord. Something can go wrong. I mean, something can go wrong. Right now, that we have two deputy presidents, we have one president. There might be need for an election, and there's no commission. So we really must demand that there's a functional constitutional system where the IBC actually is in place. So I think that's the first thing. Part of the demands we're making, even though we watch Rigathi and his wife cry, we also hope the next people can also cry. This is what they must be doing. They must be crying and feeling the pain. They must feel our pain the way we've been feeling this pain every day. But we must first of all make demands for the constitution of IEBC. But the second thing, as I think someone said it, I think after June 25th, the Lord did take us to the mountaintop and showed us the promised land. It is doable. We should deliver, and we must do whatever it takes to deliver a new Kenya, a Kenya where there is rule of law, there's inclusivity. Constitutionalism must mean something for us in this particular country. And it's always been said the revolution is not going to be televised. Let us organize in our small ways. Let us everyone else must do their part. And I mean, just like Amenya and Abdi have spoken, everyone else must find their small part in what they can do in terms of making the movement happen and delivering for us a new Kenya. Lastly, I think there is hope, and people have shared in this particular forum. There is hope. Kenyans are very angry. The anger is palpable. We must then channel that anger appropriately to help us deliver Kenya that is strong, the country that we live in, where there's peace and prosperity. Thank you very much, and looking forward to listening and talking to people next Sunday. God bless and have a good week. Thanks. Abdi.
Thank you, Neto, for that final remark submission. I think as we reach the end of this important discussion, I think it's clear that Kenya stands at a critical political crossroad. The instability in our governance, the deepening economic hardships, the failure of leadership have brought us to the brink. The unchecked sale of our national assets, the weakening of the democratic institutions, the blunt disregard for people's will have driven us to a tipping point. I think the executive and the legislature have failed in their mandates to serve the interest of the nation. They are prioritizing their own political survival over the future of Kenyans. However, amid this uncertainty, there is a glimmer of hope. The political landscape is actually shifting. As we witness the new political front opened by Gachagua, it's also clear the political marriage between UDA and ODM may soon crumble. This is a moment, though, fraught challenges present an opportunity for the citizens to reclaim your country and assert our power. We must reject the continued auctioning of resources, the erosion of our democratic rights, the silencing of voices. It's time for new leadership, one that genuinely represents the aspiration of the people, not select few political elites. Now more than ever, our unity is our strength. We must rise above our divisions, come together, work for every Kenyan, not just for those in power. The youth, the civil society, the religious leaders, all citizens must play an active role in shaping the way forward. The people are not powerless. We are driving force for the change we seek. Thank you. Over to you, Dr. Milton.
Thank you very much. I want to be very brief because I believe I think tonight has been quite insightful. There have been many pointers calling for action, and I want to say this. Right now, what we need is to continue with our efforts in terms of mobilization. It is heartwarming that the hope is not lost. Our people are still in pain, and it continues to even get worse by the day. And what we need right now is that summoning. I would want to repeat that again. Let us continue summoning the spirit of our forefathers in fighting against the oppression that William Ruto and his regime is visiting upon us. And as we do so, I want to encourage all of us, like I said in my opening remarks, that what we need to do is to identify the problem as we know it. But even as we do so, we need to also define the character of those that we want to come in as the alternative. That is important because it gives us the kind of guardrails and protects us from going down a road that we have already done by way of having people that masqueraded as leaders, as the hope, as the alternative, when indeed they were not. The very last thing I would want to say is that we must be able to take action, and every asking ourselves, what is it that I can do better than I did yesterday in a bid to reclaim this country? Because it is not about what I can get right now. A prosperous nation full of hope and opportunity is good for all of us. And that is what we all need to work and aspire to have from the deployment of our efforts. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, I want to wish everybody a fruitful week, and I want to remind us that a Kenya that works is good for all of us and our children and grandchildren. May God bless you all. Let's keep engaging, let's keep indulging, and let's keep the conversation alive. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ari. Thank you so much, Neto, Abdi, and everybody else. It is awesome every Sunday to see you on board and discussing these issues. And as Honorable Neto said, we'll be here every Sunday discussing these issues going forward and giving way forward. That is important. But more so, let us be united as a family. Always follow each other so that we can be in touch all the time. Otherwise, thank you so much, guys. See you again when the pressure point is open. We are here always to make sure that our country is running the way we want, not the way they want. Thank you so much. Bye.